Hello and welcome to the F2 season review. This is the first race of the season at Silverstone and we are going to relive the whole season together. For this first race, Mirko Bortolotti starts on pole position. So Mirko Bortolotti on pole, Mickey Monras alongside him on the front row, then Will Bratt and Alex Brundle, the two young Britons. Bortolotti making the best start there, in front of Bratt, Monras, Brundle, Marinesco, Pinero, Clark and Zanella. An excellent start for the Italian Bortolotti in the number 4 car. Monras in the 6, and then look out for Bratt and Brundle in the 17 and 5 respectively. Bratt already having got his way past Monras. Brundle is 4th, Marinesco 5th, that's where he started on the grid. All of these drivers seeking to lay down a marker for the season. Already you can see there's a gap there between 2nd and 3rd, between Will Bratt and Monras. Bortolotti already looking very, very good at the front.
Bortolotti commence déjà à faire un petit écart.
Bortolotti building up his lead.
Qui est déjà significatif.
And you can see there are big gaps all over the field. As you could see, a problem there for one of the drivers running in midfield, going over the grass. Brundle there, trying to overtake Marinescu and unable to get through. And we're joining a battle for 10th place now. It's Gladys, Joe Theobald and Snegerev. Maxim Snegerev, the Russian. The 22 car is Joe Theobald, the German. Gladys, the 24, and he's got past Theobald, the Briton. Gladys through the corner and giving himself the advantage for the straightaway. See Theobald having a crack at getting his spot back, but he's on the outside line. Some very aggressive driving here. Wheel-to-wheel racing, and having a dart down the inside now is Snegerev, trying to take advantage of the other two being involved in a duel. And Snegerev has got himself through. This is crazy racing. Contact there between Snegerev and Gladys. Daring single-seater racing.
Autant dire que, eh bien, on peut souhaiter avoir des bagarres comme ça toute l'année si les voitures sont aussi stables et décrochent aussi peu.
Those sort of fights auguring well for the rest of the season.
Dans la ligne droite et qui a même s'est même positionné pour tenter le dépassement. Donc on voit des pilotes qui font des choix de réglage différents sur leur voiture.
Some of the drivers here using differing setups, giving themselves slight advantages at different points on the course, and that all adds to the excitement.
Dans la courbe, mais effectivement un petit peu moins de vitesse absolue. Et voilà, donc après c'est un choix. Hein. Comment est-ce qu'on se sent confortable dans la voiture avec un petit peu plus d'appui ou pas.
Back on the charge is Theobald.
Johannes Theobald qui se transforme en intérieur sur le virage, mais elle va revenir en extérieur. Voilà, après la chicane.
Oh, we're having another look, in fact, at Snegerev getting through.
magnifiquement Sneguerev, qu'en profite tout simplement pour plonger à l'intérieur et aller récupérer ainsi la 10e
Sneguerev up to 10th with that.
Puis là, gros contact quand même.
Ça aurait pu moins bien se passer.
Ça double dans tous les sens, hein, avec Zanella également.
Christopher Zanella in there, the Swiss man in the 19.
8e position, c'est ça. Il est à la bagarre avec Clark juste devant lui.
Zanella battling it out with Clark at the moment, as we see the top 6 flashing across the bottom of the screen. Clark and Zanella in 8th and 9th respectively, and then we have that trio that we just saw involved in that fantastic race there. Sneguerev, Theobald and Gladys, as Mirko Bortolotti, the pole sitter and race leader, has just posted a new fastest lap on lap number 9.
5 secondes, ça fait quand même beaucoup en 10 tours.
Oui, c'est beaucoup, ouais. Il maîtrise bien ce qu'il fait, hein, visiblement, et la voiture est très très saine. Elle prend un très bon appui sur le train avant, il peut rentrer bien sur les freins sur le train.
A very well balanced car for Bortolotti. He is making the most of it.
Il pilote bien, il a bien réglé l'auto visiblement, et voilà, ça marche.
Will Bratt and Mickey Monras in 2nd and 3rd.
Il continue pour la 2e place entre Will Bratt et Mickey Monras. On a vu un pilote se louper, je me demande si ce n'est pas Snux derrière, aux alentours de la 13e position.
James Cole running in 16th place.
16e position. Meilleur temps au tour, 1:55.111. On rappelle que le meilleur temps, pour l'instant, c'est la propriété du leader, Mirko Bortolotti, en 1:52.613.
En général, quand on est comme ça, entre guillemets, tranquille devant,
The fastest lap posted by Bortolotti was
on gère bien
a shade under 1 minute 53 on the Silverstone track.
Là, il est moins vite, quoi, hein, alors que les pilotes qui sont derrière sont en lutte. Donc ils vont plus dégrader leur machine. Et logiquement, quand on est devant comme ça, on continue, on creuse l'écart et ça ressemble à un cavalier seul, puisque la monoplace est préservée tout en étant très rapide.
Ah oui, ça aurait été intéressant de suivre cette bagarre, effectivement. Je pense qu'il y a Benjamin Lariche là-dedans.
Michael Mack in the 16 there.
Il me semble, avec son numéro 28.
Some decent fights going on throughout this race.
Ouais, c'est ça, il est juste derrière. Donc cette bagarre entre Stors et Cole pour la 16e place.
Mac Cole. Stores is in there as well. Timo Stors, the German. And behind him is Benjamin Lariche, the sole Frenchman involved in F2.
Bahreïn qu'on vient de voir en 14e position. Et puis on va retrouver
Kelvin Snooks, the Dutchman, there in the 12 car.
Theobald à la bagarre maintenant avec Snooks pour
fighting it out with
place.
Johannes Theobald
par l'extérieur.
Ouais.
Et ça passe pas.
Belle trajectoire.
Snooks not through there. The
Theobald.
German defending his position.
Toujours devant Kelvin Snooks. Pour l'instant, fait une bonne course. Hein.
Positions just after the halfway point. Nearly a 6-second lead for Bortolotti. Monras in 3rd. Marinescu in 4th place. Brundle has dropped back from 3rd on the grid to 7th in front of Zanella and Clark.
Chuté en position puisque il partait 4e, il se retrouve 7e à 20 secondes maintenant du leader.
Ça va toujours un petit peu mieux hein, pour Benjamin Lariche. Il partait 14e, on le rappelle. Il est tombé au-delà de la 22e position. Et puis petit à petit, il est en train de remonter puisque maintenant il est 17e. Alors que la demoiselle...
We return to this battle between Theobald and Snooks.
L'avant-dernière, derrière elle, il y a Suresh Warren.
The only female racer here, Natalia Kowalska of Poland, is second from last in this race currently.
Et on va retrouver cette bagarre entre Johannes Theobald avec la monoplace noire numéro 22 et Snoex juste derrière. Ici, évidemment, c'est notre leader, Mirko Bortolotti. Voiture dont la livrée...
Bortolotti still well in front of Bratt.
Les heures glorieuses de la Formule 1 dans les années 70.
Monras in third, just behind the Briton. Monras of Spain.
De soutien, reprendre comme ça les anciennes livrées, les anciens designs.
Je ne sais pas si vous avez remarqué, Manu.
Bratt with the slight edge over Monras at the moment.
Vous pouvez voir vraiment un train avant très incisif, des pneus qui travaillent très bien.
Oh dear, that's Theobald and Snokes.
Ça s'est terminé dans le bac à gravier pour
into the gravel trap.
Theobald.
Snokes has got going again. Theobald is not going to be able to.
12 de Kelvin Snokes, mais pour Theobald, c'est bel et bien
Let's see what happened.
Alors, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Ah oui.
Theobald cutting across after Snokes had the edge.
Ouais. Ça insiste quand même un peu des deux côtés.
Bah ça veut pas lâcher. Hein,
ouais,
donc,
They were both battling hard. I would apportion slightly more blame to the German than to the Dutchman there.
Ouais, bon, là, il rend un petit peu la monnaie de la pièce, voilà.
Ça c'est sûr que...
Ah, Johannes Theobald, on l'a vu quand même hein, plusieurs fois depuis le début de cette course.
Theobald, a very aggressive racer.
Ouais, malheureusement, ça a fini par se
And
payer.
that's where his race finishes.
Encore quelques centaines de mètres à tenir.
Just a few hundred meters to go now for Mirko Bortolotti, trying to take the first win of the F2 season. He has dominated from start to finish. The pole sitter, the best start, the fastest lap. Bortolotti absolutely flying. And Bortolotti takes the checkered flag. A member of the Ferrari Academy, a real promising driver. Bratt finishes second, then Monras, Marinescu, Pinero and Hegevald. A first win for the young Italian. Will Bratt and Monras completing the podium.
Évidemment, c'est entre Pinero et Brundle. Je pense que c'est Pinero qui va terminer devant en 5e position.
So Bortolotti, the Ferrari Academy of driver, taking the first race of the season. He's on the front row of the grid for race 2, but in second position behind Mickey Monras, Alex Brundle and Will Bratt, third and fourth on the grid. Then Pinero and Hegevald, Jack Clark in 7th, Christopher Zanella down in 10th position. And we will return to some live commentary from this race.
And we're away, and it's a better start from Mickey Monras. Alex Brundle's going nowhere. Is everyone going to avoid him? Just about. That was a very scary moment for Alex Brundle. But meanwhile, up at the front, that's Tobias Hegevald. Is he up into second place? No, sorry, that's a little bit further back. Mickey Monras has got a great start, but that's a disaster for Alex Brundle. What does this boy have to do to get a bit of luck? Will Bratt is up into second from fourth on the grid. Then it's Mirko Bortolotti in third as the marshals tried to push him clear. Now, if they can't get him clear, they are going to have to deploy the safety car. So heading out onto the hangar straight, it's side by side for second position. A great start from Will Bratt then as he hugs the inside line. Ramon Pinero is going to make it 3 abreast on the run down into Stowe. Then it's Tobias Hegevald behind, and Ramon Pinero nosing up the inside. Oh, a little bit of contact, and Pinero goes round, spins back across the circuit. Hopefully everyone's going to avoid him this time. Pinero actually rolled a Formula Palmer Audi there in his first ever race in Formula Palmer Audi a few years ago. But that's a disastrous start for the young Brazilian. The rest of the field make their way down into Vale and Club, but an action-packed first half a lap. It's all just about settling down, Joe.
And it was Will Bratt who actually made a mistake coming out of Beckett's, which allowed Bortolotti and then Pinero to get right up onto him, and Pinero really going for a bit of a sticking a nose into Stowe, which meant he clipped Bortolotti and spun round, and that caused the mayhem behind.
Well, what can you say about Alex Brundle's weekend? Fastest here in winter testing. Here's the replay of the start. He just didn't go anywhere, did he? So, I mean, what happens in these cars, Joe? Is it a foot clutch or is it a finger clutch? What do you think happened there?
It's a hand clutch. It's a real shame for Alex. I think it must be a problem of some sort, because they've got a starter motor in car, so if he lost the engine or something he could restart it, but he's been pushed off now, and we'll have to see what happens there.
So the rest of the pack making their way around Luffield. At the end of this lap, we'll give you a rundown of the order as it stands. Flying out of Woodcote Corner comes Miki Monras, looking very commanding out the front. Then it's Will Bratt behind him. Mirko Bortolotti in third place. It's fairly close to the fourth between Zanella and Hegewald. Zanella's made a great start as well. Marinescu in sixth, Clark in seventh, Ibrahim in eighth, ninth is Kelvin Snooks, and 10th is Timo Storz at the moment. So where did Zanella start? He started down in 10th position. So to launch up to 4th place, there's second, third, and yet Christopher Zanella, 10th on the grid to 4th in the race, is very impressive indeed as the rest of the field make their way around the Beckett's and Maggots. Oh, and there's Partiva Suresh-Warren. He's got a broken front right. Wonder what could have happened there. I mean, surely that's contact, unless he's gone off by himself. But heading down into the Vale for the second time now is Miki Monras, and well, now he's got, I mean, that played perfectly into his hands really, didn't it? Because his start was always going to be his weak point with lack of experience, but all the carnage behind him has helped him pull away.
Monras obviously done his homework last night, and a great start from him, and Bortolotti it was who was a bit slower away, and the carnage behind has meant Monras has now got a 2-second lead already after just one lap over Bratt. And Marinescu also making a great start from 9th up to 6th, so he finished 4th yesterday, and it'll be interesting to see his pace in this run. Obviously the dirty air in this zone, the dirty air, the turbulent air that comes off the back of the car in front means that Bortolotti will be picking up a little bit of understeer, which means he'll be later on the power and not able to produce his maximum speed around the track.
Absolutely, making their way down into Stoke Corner. Zanella took a pole position and a fastest lap in Italian Formula 3 last year, on his way to 6th position overall, so he's no mug in a single-seater. As they make their way down into the Vale, and Will Bratt looking fairly comfortable. I mean, we saw he was very good at defending yesterday from Miki Monras, but he's not really having to defend that much, because I mean, the dirty air is going to play a part, Jolyon, but that is a fair gap. It tends to be just kind of just under a second that we see the gap settle at if it's dirty air based.
Yeah, well, we saw Monras a bit closer than this yesterday, and Bratt actually slightly edging away from Bortolotti at the moment, so Bortolotti clearly for whatever reason has not quite got the pace at this stage of the race. And
there's Plamen Kralev after his great run. It looks as though Julian Theobald was pootling into the gravel trap too, so I'm assuming those two have had a collision. It's Julian Theobald up the inside of Plamen Kralev, and what's going to happen here? Oh, Kralev turns in. That's a difficult one. Julian Theobald not happy, was he? He was waving in disgust, but I think Kralev possibly didn't even know Theobald was there, because that was a bit of a curious one, really. Should have given him more room.
Yeah, Kralev there just turning in, and really Theobald not to blame for that one, and rightfully a little bit annoyed. Strange that he pulled it straight into the gravel and didn't find a better place to pull off, but yeah, he won't be happy with that.
Will Bratt swinging round Copse Corner, still in second place. Another second has been lost to the leader. It was, well, on that lap it was half a second, but since the last time we judged it. So it's Monras in the lead, Bratt, Bortolotti, Zanella, Hegewald still in 5th place with Marinescu in 6th, Jack Clark in 7th, Ibrahim, Snooks and Mikkel Mack now up into the top 10. That's decent driving from him. Finished 12th in yesterday's race, so 10th would be an improvement. And yeah, Will Bratt looks fairly comfortable in that second place. I just wonder if Zanella sets the fastest first sector of anyone again, so he must be loving that boost, almighty through Maggots and Beckett's. But Will Bratt seems fairly comfortable in that second place, not under much pressure.
We've got Ramon Pinero now up to 16th. He's passed Cole Aberdeen and obviously Kralev with his problem. So Pinero moving through the field. He's got a bit of a gap to find to Lariche. And interestingly, James Cole not having the best of weekends. He came from a national class campaign in F3 last year, and really has been disappointed, I think, with his performance here. But I'm sure using the data sharing concept of F2, he'll be able to progress and find out where he's losing the time.
Yeah, he says it's a lot less frustrating in some ways, in that, you know, everyone has the same machinery, and he's relishing the fact that his car isn't slower than 90% of the field, but unfortunately he hasn't quite got it hooked up yet. It's worth pointing out that Ramon Pinero's fastest lap, Benjamin Lariche trying to go around the outside the Vale there. Sorry to interrupt you, Jolyon, as they make their way through the new double apex right-hander that is Club. So that was an impressive or an audacious attempt, I should say, from Benjamin Lariche, tucked right into the slipstream. Oh, into Abbey, that's brave. Just about gets out of it. That was, yeah, some brave stuff from Benjamin Lariche. I think he was the guy who had a lunge into Beckett's yesterday, so he's not afraid of an overtake or two. Locks up his front right, and now that has allowed Ramon Pinero to hook right onto the back of these two.
Lariche must have used a boost there out of club, and not really an overtaking place at all, Abbey. It's nearly flat in these cars, but now he'll be back on Kowalska now down into Brooklands and seeing if this is a better overtaking place.
Not quite close enough this time around. Ramon Pinero is lapping, I think, about a second a lap quicker. Well, it was half a second on that previous lap. His fastest lap is 1.2 seconds quicker than Benjamin Lariche's fastest lap. So any moment now, Pinero will hook right onto the back of this scrap. Through Woodcote Corner they come, and Ramon Pinero currently running in 16th position, and Timo Storz is dropping down the leaderboard there. So Timo Storz, I'd imagine, has stopped somewhere out on the circuit.
Storz has just come through with a 2-minute 11 lap, so I can only presume he's made a mistake somewhere.
Yep, good spot. So Timo Storz not falling, not retiring, but certainly falling down the order. Now here comes Lariche on Natalia Kowalska. What's Kowalska going to do? She's going to dart this way, she's going to dart that way, and she's going to squeeze Lariche to the inside line. And Lariche, well, we know he's brave. He kept his foot in, and he squeezes up the inside into Stowe. Now how quickly can Ramon Pinero? Miki Monras, relatively inexperienced, as I say. He had a season in GP3 last year where he showed some promise, and this has been a commanding drive at the front.
A great drive from Monras. He did his homework from yesterday and got a great start, and the shenanigans on the first lap definitely helped him. He had a 2-second lead after one lap, and since there his pace has been phenomenal. Just every lap eking out, and now 7 seconds to Bratt and 9 seconds, which will ultimately be Bortolotti in second at the moment.
So Miki Monras starts the final lap, the black flag still being held out for Will Bratt, hoping that at some point he'll see it as he laps Sung Hak Mun flying past the commentary box. But Miki Monras, the Spaniard, heading down into Beckett's and Maggots once more. It's as though it's all fairly settled behind then. Bortolotti in third, and Zanella.
It's Lariche now who's close to Gladys, and this will be the final point in 10th place by the time Bratt serves his penalty. So this is the action on the last lap.
Miki Monras making his way down into Stowe Corner as he makes his way through this long right-hander that then spits you out down towards the tight left-hander at the Vale. Monras with his best lap time. He's not going to challenge Mirko Bortolotti's best lap time from yesterday, some 4/10 shy of that, but you get the feeling that Monras has hardly been pushing. He's checking his mirrors, but no real need to do that. He's not been under any pressure throughout the race. It was such a shame that we had that mechanical problem for Alex Brundle on the grid, because with him up with Monras as well as Bortolotti, it could have been an excellent race. But as it is, Miki Monras has completely dominated this one, exiting and heading down towards Brooklands for the final time, and this means he is going to have picked up a third place and a win compared to Bortolotti's win and second place. So I think this will slot Miki Monras into second position in the championship. We'll get confirmation of that for you later on. It was the Italian Mirko Bortolotti who dominated race one here at Silverstone yesterday, but it's Miki Monras, the youngster from Spain, who has dominated today, just 19 years of old. His debut weekend in Formula 2 heralds the victory, and it's a fantastic race for Miki Monras. His team are delighted, and he is going to finish a considerable amount ahead of Will Bratt, who, well, he's going to cross the line now. There he goes. There's Mirko Bortolotti, who is, we think, ultimately going to be in second place. We're just going to have to see where that all, how that all pans out. Zanella then fourth, Hegeveld in fifth, Mihai Marinescu there in the white and lime green car.
So Monras taking the second race ahead of Will Bratt, but Will Bratt would be penalised for not respecting a drive-through penalty. Bratt disqualified. and that suited Bortolotti and Zanella. Round 2 of the season took the drivers to France and to Magny-Cours. Alex Brundle on pole position for race 1 ahead of Christopher Zanella, Mickey Monras, Ramon Pinero and Mirko Bortolotti in 5th.
The engine revs rise then. Who's got the best getaway when the lights go out? It's there away, and it's a sliding start from Brundle, but I think he's just about got a good start. Tobias Hegerwald didn't get a good one. Brundle does make an excellent start, actually. Jack Clark looking up the inside of Ramon Pinero, but it's Mickey Monras into 2nd position as they all tiptoe their way around the Grand Cours for the first time. So it's Monras up into 2nd place. 3rd has gone Christopher Zanella. Pinero there in 4th. Jack Clark has made his way up to 5th place. So Mirko Bortolotti loses a few positions. The rest of the field round their way through Estoril Corner now and head up towards the Adelaide hairpin. Are we going to see some overtaking? Ramon Pinero is looking racy to try and get 3rd position from behind Christopher Zanella as they make their way through the spray. So it's Brundle in the lead, Monras in a fairly comfortable 2nd position, then it's Zanella in 3rd, and they all very, very slow. I think Zanella's gone wide there. Ramon Pinero might be able to get up the inside on the exit, and he has. Ramon Pinero up into 3rd position. We've got some slower cars on the exit. Jack Clark is now up into almost 4th place. He's going side by side with Will Bratt. That's a good start from Will Bratt, actually, and Will Bratt is through past Jack Clark. So from 8th on the grid, Bratt has made a good start, but they're all safely through the first half a lap.
Too much wheel spin there for Zanella off the line, and it's allowed Monras to get up into 2nd. And Monras very quick in the opening stages in qualifying, so it'll be interesting if Clark loses it.
Yeah, Jack Clark spins. It's not really a corner there in the dry, but in the wet it is. So Jack Clark has spun just to the left of our camera shot. The yellow flags are waving. Oh, and that's backwards into the barrier for Mihai Marinescu. That's his rear wing broken, and that is going to be him out of the race. So watching him, I haven't figured out where Jack Clark is. I think he's recovering there, right down the back of the field. So you can see the standings as we watch Kelvin Snooks make his way into Chateau d'Eau, but the top 4 or 5 now starting to make a break. There's Mirko Bortolotti currently running in 6th, and so I think then up into 7th place has gone John Lancaster. We'll wait for confirmation as they cross the line. Zanella is coming under pressure now from Will Bratt, who didn't feel he got the most out of the qualifying session. Side by side a little bit further back, but here we go then. Brundle has a 2-second lead over Mickey Monras. Pinero and Zanella almost together as they cross the line. Bratt in 5th. 6th place is Mirko Bortolotti. And there is James Cole. Has he had a spin perhaps? Where is he? He's just coming out of Chateau d'Eau. And oh, there we go. He just got on the power a bit too soon. So his best qualifying of the season is ruined, sadly. And he's going to drop right down to the back of the field. Along with Jack Clark. So Mihai Marinescu, I presume, is out of this race after collecting the barriers. Hopefully we won't need a safety car. Now here's John Lancaster in this black machine that was piloted by Tom Gladys last time around. He's going to be coming under pressure here from Tobias Hegerwald. Hegerwald looks to the outside under braking, and that's not really going to be the place to get past. There's Mihai Marinescu disconsolately leaving his car, and hopefully that won't cause a safety car. It's pretty near the edge of the circuit, if not on the edge of the circuit, and Hegerwald is past, I think, just a little bit further back. Tobias Hegerwald has got past John Lancaster. So they're all just finding their feet in these early conditions, and if anything, it's Zanella that's looking fastest, Jolyon. And here he goes up the inside, past Pinero. No, not quite. Wider line. You can sometimes get more grip there in the wet, can't you?
Yeah, the wider lines often work, just staying off the conventional dry line where all the rubber is, and Brundle really scampering away. It looks like he's got 4 or 5 seconds on Monras on just this lap, so really putting in a great first lap, and he's built up a good lead already.
But Alex Brundle is in league of his own, and Mickey Monras struggling to keep it in a straight line down the straight. So the battle for second is fairly close, and then it's the Bratt, Hegerwald and Bortolotti in that order, with John Lancaster, who is making his debut in the series this weekend. He's a race winner in World Series by Renault, Formula Renault 3.5, so a very well-established driver. He's won 2 races here before in Formula Renault in the French series back in 2007, I want to say. Yes, 2007. So he certainly knows his way around this Magny-Cours circuit as they make their way up towards the Adelaide hairpin again.
in these conditions, a lot depends on the traction, and with 500 horsepower with the boost, yeah, you get a lot of wheel spin, and you can see Hegeveld now all over Bratt, who's really struggling coming out of the Adelaide hairpin.
It's great seeing these cars slide around, isn't it? Hegeveld just stamping on the power, the back end going all over the place, so Hegeveld looks to be pretty quick. Lap times wise, last lap Alex Brundle was a second quicker than Miki Monras that time around, so that's some impressive lap time. In fact, Monras was a bit slower than Pinero, as Hegeveld all over the back of Bratt now. Hegeveld, he was some 1.5 seconds quicker than Will Bratt on the previous lap, so Hegeveld really in the zone at the moment as he looks up the inside coming into Imola. That's going to be a brave move, and Tobias Hegeveld makes it through then, just got a better run coming out of 180. Has he got it all sorted on the exit? He has, but Will Bratt isn't going to give up that easily as they head down towards Chateau d'Eau. Only half a car length or so between them. Hegeveld goes in deep to try and get the best run out of the corner, and it appears to have worked. So Hegeveld moves up past Will Bratt into 5th position, and we've got a spin here. Who's that? Is that Natalia Kowalska? Yeah, she's had a little spin on the exit of 180. And what's this a replay of? Is that the same one? No, that looks like Julian Theobald perhaps, can't quite, or James Cole actually. James Cole has had another spin. So now Pinero is going to be coming under pressure from Zanella, and can Hegeveld move clear of Will Bratt, and can Bratt hold off Bortolotti? There's plenty of battles going on here, Jolyon.
Hegeveld, you saw there using wide lines, and some of these long corners, it really can be beneficial in these conditions to just run around the outside, and you just carry such a greater minimum speed, and Bortolotti threw on Bratt right up the inside there.
Yeah, good move coming into Estoril, but Bratt's going to find that grip we spoke about on the outside of the circuit. Fascinating battles going on. Now, will either of them use the boost? Surely using the boost in these conditions is a bit scary, and as you come up to Adelaide Hairpin, you can't really see it, but at 250 metres, the runoff all area all closes in, and so you have a real tunnel effect down into the Adelaide Hairpin, and it's a lot tighter than you would think down there. And Bortolotti tries to get the cutback coming out of the corner, tries to get better traction, and I think he's done it. Mirko Bortolotti moves up past Will Bratt then into 6th position. Bratt isn't giving up that easily as they come down into the Nurburgring chicane, but Bortolotti holds the place. And interesting, Alex Brundle said earlier on that it would all be about traction out of that hairpin if you wanted to make a move. So can John Lancaster make his way past Will Bratt now? Lancaster comes into the series desperate to win the championship. He's already got a 43-point disadvantage. Bratt slides his way. Lancaster sees the gap on the inside towards Imola. We've got yellow flags being waved up there, so no overtaking there, Johnny boy. And he doesn't. He tucks back into the slipstream. I wonder why the yellow flags are waved. Has someone else had a little spin? Or maybe they're just recovering a car as they make their way into Chateau d'Eau. But Jolyon, these tyres have got to last another 20 laps or so. Is it worth losing positions at the moment just to keep them intact?
Well, Will Bratt doesn't really look like he's keeping them intact too well. He's really sliding and being very aggressive on the power, and later on that really could have consequences on his race. He had a great start, but he's dropping back surprisingly quickly at the moment, and Bortolotti and Hegeveld really pulling away. It's
Kelvin Snokes and Timo Storz that round out the top 10. Storz started in 13th place. Kelvin Snokes actually from 16th on the grid up into 9th position. Alex Brundle meanwhile is now down into the 54.8, so the lap times have come down at least 3 seconds in the past 2 laps or so. This is going to be down into the Lycée Pan. He's going to have a look up the inside, and Christopher Zanella slides up into 2nd place if he can get it stopped in time, and he can. So Zanella from 2nd on the grid, is now back up into 2nd place, and he's going to hunt down Alex Brundle this time. You can see that coming a mile off. It looked as though he may well have used a boost. What has Miki Monras got in response? So a change for 2nd position. That's going to help Alex Brundle, but with 13 laps to go, Zanella, even though he made an overtaking manoeuvre, was still 0.4 of a second quicker than Brundle that last time around. And look how quickly he's pulled away from Miki Monras. So these first sector times will tell us a lot, because this is where Brundle's been weak. Here's the replay, and I think he just caught Monras unaware there, Jolyon.
Well, Zanella's been doing that line into the Lycée hairpin for quite a few laps now, and it was just kind of a normal line that threw him up the inside of Monras, and you see there again, he's going for the wet parts of the track, and the driver's really struggling with it.
Yeah, well, it is, as they said, we heard, it is raining a little bit, but nowhere near enough, I think, to cause them to lose the heat in their tyres. So Brundle in that first sector again lost 0.6 of a second as they turn their way through the Nurburgring chicane. There is Alex Brundle, who, well, he said to me he just wants points, but you can't help but think if he doesn't win this race, he's going to be disappointed, and Zanella's gone for it up the inside. Again, it's differing lines, but it nearly got him past. Alex Brundle confident that he could hold on, but now it's really the battle on for the lead. Mickey Monras has dropped back substantially, actually, so unless Monras is really struggling, which it appears to be the case at the moment, they turn their way through Imola. Now, will we see Christopher Zanella? Of course, Brundle won't have seen that move last lap around. Oh, but he's gone a little bit wide, and Brundle's on the grass, and Christopher Zanella takes the lead of the race. A mistake from Alex Brundle, just being put under pressure, and Christopher Zanella, the young man from Switzerland, the 22-year-old from Switzerland, 21-year-old, sorry, moves into the lead. Down into the Lycée hairpin they come, and now can he begin to pull away from Brundle in second place? And what's Mickey Monras got? Because Monras's pace has just dropped right off ever since he got past. Here is Jack Clark bouncing his way past Julian Theobald down there at Chateau d'Eau. So a new race leader here, Jolien, and are you expecting him to pull away?
Well, he looks like he's got better tyres than Brundle and Monras, but he's really working them there, and just the traction at the moment for these guys would be terrible. Just pretty much a dry track now, and if this was qualifying or, to be honest, at different championships where you could come in and do a pit stop, you'd be putting on slicks now. But with Formula 2, you get one mechanic, and a pit stop will cost you 5 minutes, which could be 2 or 3 laps, really, so it's not in the question. As Monras now looking to the inside of Brundle. I did testing with him in Barcelona and Portimao in the winter, and he was very quick in the wet there. I think he surprised a few people, and now it's wet again, and yeah, he's in the points and challenging Will Bratt, who's in his second year now and finished quite high up in the championship.
Well, we didn't see Timo Stort's race for most of last year because he was doing exams. Now we've got the final lap graphic has just come up on the screen. So is this race going to be curtailed because of it's obviously being run at a slower pace? So have we reached the time limit rather than the distance limit? It would seem so. That's going to be a bit frustrating for Mickey Monras, but not frustrating at all for this man, Christopher Zanella, who has driven an absolutely splendid race, turns his way into the chicane at Imola for the final time, and then heads up towards Chateau d'Eau. And after a difficult start, as I say, he's made some excellent passes on his way back up to the order, pressured people into mistakes, constantly been the quickest man out there in these wet conditions. And are we seeing, after an impressive performance at Silverstone, where he went from 10th on the grid up to 3rd in the race, are we seeing the emergence of a young rising Swiss star? He makes his way into the Lycée Pan for the final time, and a very commanding drive from Christopher Zanella makes him see the checker flag, and he wins sideways here at Magny-Cours. Even more sideways behind him is Sung-Ak Mun. Second place is going to be Tobias Hagevold, and Alex Brundle will hold on to take 3rd position, which he will be delighted with, just to get some points on the board after a dismal display. The engine revs rise, and we're away. Who gets the best start? It looks like it is going to be Zanella who holds the lead into turn 1. We've got a staller right at the back, and that could be Kralev, but up the inside goes Alex Brundle. Has he managed to take the lead into the Grand Corps? No, not quite. Bortolotti is up into 3rd place. Marinescu drops down to 4th. That was an audacious attempt. Someone's gone onto the gravel a little bit further back, and there's Benjamin Lariche trying to go around the outside of Jack Clark. They make their way up towards the Adelaide hairpin for the first time, no doubt stamping on the boost button as they climb up the hill. Marinescu looks like he's quite racy behind Bortolotti. Let's see how it all pans out. Bortolotti has the inside line into the hairpin and holds 3rd place. Brundle is right up behind him, and then I think Ramon Pinero has found his way up into 5th position. They all squeeze through. Interesting to see who went off in the gravel further back, but Zanella then holds the lead. Brundle very, very close at that first corner to making his way through, and it's all single file pretty much through the Nurburgring chicane this time around.
It was a great start from Brundle, actually. He got alongside Zanella, but Zanella managing to hold it around the outside in turn 1 and keep the inside then for Estoril turn 2. And Bortolotti actually looked like he was going to challenge, but I think he saved a boost there down to Adelaide, which is a strange decision on the first lap. But now Zanella's going to be pushing really hard to try and get away in the opening stages.
Absolutely. The first corner here is flat out in normal racing trim, so it's definitely going to be flat out off the starts. It was a brave attempt from Brundle, lucky not to get his front wing chopped off. There a little bit further back, there's Aman Ibrahim. He is out of this race. Now, where is that? That looks like it could be out of 180, something like that. Perhaps we'll get a replay of that shortly. But as they cross the line then for the first time, it's Christopher Zanella that leads. He has got a 0.7 second advantage over Alex Brundle in second place. Bortolotti still there. Tobias, sorry, that's Mickey Monras, isn't it? Right up behind Ramon Pinero now. So the battle of the Spaniards makes its way down to Estoril. Through the big dip here, Monras getting a little bit out of shape, but this could be an opportunity for Mickey Monras on the back straight up to the Adelaide hairpin if he can get on the boost and with a bit of a slipstream. They've got John Lancaster behind, but here comes Mickey Monras. He's definitely used the boost. He's going to be pulling alongside just a little bit further back. It's Monras on the outside, Ramon Pinero in the white machine on the inside. No, he's not afraid of an overtake or two, but at the moment, Mikkel Mack then moves up to take that 12th position. Still a couple of places away from scoring any points, though. And behind them is Max Snigarev, just a little bit further back. 1.7 seconds behind this battle, running in 14th position. So in this battle for 12th position, can Mikkel Mack start to pull away? Or will Benjamin Lariche have something to say in these final 6 laps? The gap at the front still 2 seconds exactly. It's been about that for most of the race. And then it's 1.1 seconds between second and third, third and fourth, and fourth and fifth. Into Grand Corps they come, Mikkel Mack, the Dane, who has only really done Formula 4 Denmark. I think that's about his experience limit in single-seaters, because he's only 18 years old. His best result was a 9th place that he picked up at Silverstone, I think. Yeah, the second race at Silverstone. He picked that up. Benjamin Lariche, well, he was a solid contender last year in Formula 2, picking up quite a few points finishes, but hasn't quite worked out for him this time around. In the 2010 Formula 2 Championship, yeah, he picked up 12 points finishes, Benjamin Lariche, so not quite near this time.
Lariche really came on strong at the end of last year. He qualified on the front row at Valencia in the last round, and then went on to top a day in Portimao in the winter testing, so he'll be very disappointed with the start to the year. Second-year driver. He would have liked to hope that, that his experience would count a little bit more in the opening rounds.
Yep, we'll see if he progresses as we move on after this. In about a month or so's time, we move to Spa-Francorchamps, where we've got back-to-back weekends, actually. Spa followed by Nurburgring. So that'll be interesting to see the Formula 2 cars race there, I think, for the first time since its reinception in 2009. Marinescu is now falling away from Bortolotti, and Bortolotti, how close is he to Brundle? Still only a second this time around. So those four really fairly equidistant from one another, and you just wonder if they're saving up a bit of boost, saving up for one last attack in the remaining 5 laps. Has Will Bratt closed in on Jan Lancaster? The gap was 5 seconds. It's now down to just 3.2. So I don't think we're going to have enough time for Will Bratt to close in enough to have an attack. But certainly he's lapping quicker. So Will Bratt, I think, will be a little bit frustrated this weekend. He picked up 8th place yesterday, and he's looking set for a 7th place today. And, well, for a man who wants to win the title, it's not the perfect beginning as they turn into the chicane once more. It always looks through the corners as though Mickey Monras is just a little bit closer. But of course that's usually down to the concertina effect, because Monras will be later on the brakes, but then Marinescu will be earlier on the power. Only 0.6 of a second between them though as they cross the sector split on the last lap. So has Mickey Monras got something in reserve? Has he learnt not to use all his boosts before the end of the race? He's certainly closer this time around. They cross the line, the gap's down to just half a second, so he's getting to within that dirty air zone where the car's handling will start to be affected, but he's also in the zone that he might be able to pick up a slipstream as they make their way out of Estoril. Not close enough this time. Of course, Estoril, as I said earlier, pulling 2.5 G through there means that there's quite a lot of movement going on at 100 miles an hour. So that's going to be the kind of corner, those long kind of medium speed corners where the airflow really affects you.
It will, and the dirty air coming out the car in front, just you lose front downforce, and it's hard to follow. But with the boost button and 75 extra horsepower, it's a long straight afterwards into a very tight hairpin at Adelaide, so you would expect overtaking, especially with these cars with the boost button. And yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that it's been so static at the front, and now that's Jack Clark now on the back of Pinero for 9th place.
Yeah, he was 2/10 quicker on that last lap. No, scrap that, he was a 1/10 of a second slower, but the two of them are running very close to one another. Clark really pushing hard, lots of wheel spin as he exited the 180 corner, and now they head up towards the chicane at Imola. And Ramon Pinero, I think, will be a little bit frustrated because he did an excellent qualifying, well, 6th place, but he has qualified as high as 4th previously. So he's just struggling here a little bit. I'm not sure. He is a bit of an ace at Silverstone, isn't he, Ramon? He goes very quickly around there.
He does. I think he had a pole position in Formula BMW back in 2007 or 2008, and he was very strong in all the F2 running we've done, and in Formula Audi he won races there as well. But he's been very impressive, Ramon, for his experience. He's I think just 19 years of age, coming up from Formula Audi. He's been very impressive and constantly mixing it in the top 5, and I think there's a lot more to come from him.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at the likes of he's battling with the likes of Mirko Bortolotti, who has, you know, already won 2 races in this series. He's raced here in 2009. I think he's won single-seater championships in Italy. He's raced in GP3. He's tested for Ferrari and Toro Rosso. So, you know, Mirko Bortolotti there, the man we're looking at, is a man with real experience. So for Pinero, after a bit of Formula BMW and a bit of Formula Audi, to be, you know, within 3 positions of him is, or no, a little bit less than that now, but is quite impressive. Christopher Zanella is the most impressive man out there today. He drove an excellent race yesterday, and he was delighted to take his first win in Formula 2, and I imagine he's going to be equally delighted today, and especially in the nature of the result. Alex Brundle said yesterday that he was in some ways pleased to be disappointed with 3rd. It made a difference from being disappointed not to get off the line at the start of the race.
It's good for Alex. He had a difficult weekend in Silverstone. He was desperate for points. Although it's disappointing starting from pole and going backwards, he just needed points, and he's never actually taken a single-seater victory, but he's been very quick, and I'm sure it's coming. He's been impressive, and Zanella actually out front, if he wins this race, which it's looking ever more likely, he will take the lead of the championship from quite a long way back actually at the start of the weekend. He's had a great weekend. 2nd place on the grid, and then a win yesterday and a pole and a win today, and it'll put him to the head. Absolutely.
So Zanella, a couple of wins, and you are right up there. Alex Brundle tested a Le Mans car, didn't he? An LMP2 car a few weeks ago, and ended up finishing 3rd in class in the Le Mans test. So he's got a fair amount of pace. Here then comes Jack Clark. 2 laps to go. Does he have enough to get around Ramon Pinero and take 2 more points, it would be, to finish in that? Sorry, just 1 more point actually, but we all know what points mean. So can Jack Clark find 9th position? Only 4/10 of a second as they crossed the line that time, turning their way through the chicane. I think it would be, Clark would be happy to pick up a 9th place after a difficult weekend. Just to come home with some points sometimes is enough to motivate you for the next race.
Yeah, it's strange with Jack. He's had the pace, and in testing last winter he was the quickest man, and he looked quick in all the practice today, this weekend, and just qualifying's not gone his way, and 11th place he was very disappointed with, but he's a good racer, and coming through today he'll be delighted if he can take 9th now on the last lap.
So Christopher Zanella starts his final lap. He has led this race from pole position in a fairly commanding manner. He's never had a gap bigger than 2 seconds back to Alex Brundle, but if he can coax it around the remaining 3.5 kilometers or so, he will move to the head of the championship and put himself in the prime position to win the Williams F1 test at the end of the year. 1.7 seconds between them as they round the Adelaide hairpin. And it really has been a commanding performance from him. Again, Brundle, impressive in 2nd place. He drove to an impressive 3rd place. It's good to see him back mixing it in the front. But Bortolotti and Monras, Jolyon, we thought they were so excellent at Silverstone, but they haven't really challenged the top 3. Well, Bortolotti's going to come home 3rd, I think, today, but they haven't really been looking like race victories.
No, they were very impressive at Silverstone, no 2 ways about that, but it is just a very tough field, and you're going to get swings and roundabouts, really. Good weekends here and struggle. When it's so competitive, it's rare for someone to be so dominant, and still good points for Bortolotti and Monras, and they'll still be, I think, 2nd and 3rd in the championship now, but yeah, it's good to see different people at the front.
Well, Bortolotti and Monras have took a win each at Silverstone. But there's no sharing of the spoils this weekend. Zanella has been greedy and he has taken both race victories here at Magny-Cours. The checkered flag falls. Christopher Zanella wins round 4 of the 2011 Formula 2 Championship and moves to the top of the 2011 Formula 2 Championship. Brundle in second, Bortolotti in third. Fourth place has gone the way of Miki Monras. And then fifth is Mihai Marinescu. So, so Monras made that position up on the last lap he must have done. So that'll be interesting to see where that came.
Legendary Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, the venue for round 3 of the season. Mirko Bortolotti set the fastest time in qualifying, but he won't be starting from pole. He was penalised 2 places on the grid, so Ramon Pinero starts from pole for the very first time. Alex Brundle second and Bortolotti third.
Green flag wave from the back of the field. The lights come on. And we're away. Who's going to get the best getaway? It's a slow start, I think, from Alex Brundle. Zanella's got a good one. He's looking to the inside to try and take third place. But it's a good start from Ramon Pinero. He holds the lead as they come into La Source for the first time. Brundle goes to the outside. Are they all going to squeak through cleanly? Who's that doing a Kimi Raikkonen off on the outside? It's Will Bratt. And look at that. He's going to move up to second place. That's going to be an interesting one, I think, isn't it? As they all plough down towards Eau Rouge for the first time. So Bratt up into second. Brundle third. Bortolotti in fourth. Fifth place is Chris Vanilla. Sixth is Tobias Hegevold. He's got past Timo Storz, who drops down to 7th. We're all safely through Eau Rouge and Radion, but Pinero could be coming under pressure here from Will Bratt as they make, and we've got a spin. I think that's Jordan King has spun towards the back of the order, and then spinning in sympathy is possibly Jose Luis Abadin, I think. But up at the front, it's still Pinero holding the lead. But that was an interesting strategy from Will Bratt at the source.
Yeah, it always works for Kimi Raikkonen, actually. So not a bad move, and that's Pinero going wide, and Will Bratt, Bratt around the outside. On the way down to Rivage.
So a change of lead then here in this Formula 2 race. Pinero then subsequently has to go defensive. I think he just made a mistake at Les Combes, which allowed Will Bratt to get through. So Bratt takes the lead of this race as the rest of the field plunge down into Rivage. And now Alex Brundle is going to be the man on the attack. So Bortolotti lost 1 position. Zanella, I think, made up a position or 2. They all now, and Mihai Marinescu actually, he's made a pretty good start because he started down in 11th position, and well, we'll go through the standings now, but it looks as though he's possibly up into 7th place now as they turn their way through Pouhon, another of the tricky corners. So a shame for Jordan King spinning there early on. There is Johannes Theobald. He is back out after his shunt in qualifying, so everyone's just going to settle down now as they make their way into the Fagnes chicane. There's Tobias Hegevold a little bit further back, sideways from Zanella, and they're all staying really well away from the racing line, aren't they?
That's right, yeah, they're picking up a lot more grip by moving offline, the classic karting wet line.
And Brundle's made a mistake there, hasn't he?
Dropping right back now past
Mihai Marinescu, and a few others as well, and now he's up in front of Mihai Marinescu as they turn out. So we didn't quite catch what happened to Alex Brundle, but he has dropped down the order. Through goes Timo Storz. Now they come up towards Blanchimont. Here's a replay. You can see there at the back, Jordan. I think that's Jordan King just getting unsettled.
Quite how everyone missed him, I have no idea.
Oof, and then he comes straight back in front of them, doesn't he?
A couple spinning in sympathy as well, at the back.
Absolutely. So drama at the top of Radion on this first lap. But what's going on here? Kelvin Schnucks up the inside of Timo Storz, the Dutchman, trying to get past Storz, and he has done so. Jack Clark now trying to take advantage. So it's Will Bratt who leads across the line with a comfortable advantage now. 2 seconds over Mirko Bortolotti in second place. Zanella in third, Brundle in fourth. Here comes Hegevold though, looks to the outside into La Source. Tries to go around the outside. There will be extra grip there in these wet conditions. Brundle forces him out. Hegevold thinks, well, Will Bratt did this in the first lap. I'm going to go out here to get some more grip. So then it's a good start from Marinescu up into 6th place as they drop down towards Eau Rouge for the second time. So I think Alex Brundle only down to 4th then. Now he's got back past Hegevold. So he won't be too disappointed with that, but obviously a mistake earlier on in the lap. And then we've got this big train further back, and there's not much spray, which is the good thing, because in qualifying they were complaining that they could hardly see a thing.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's such an advantage to being at the front on the first few laps of these types of races when the spray is pretty bad. But as you say, it's getting a lot better. And one thing that I'm really looking out for is Bortolotti's pace now. He's got that 2-second gap to Bratt, but in qualifying we know he's very racy indeed. So be quite interesting to see whether he could make any impression on that lead of Brat's.
He was 1.3 seconds clear of the rest of the field in qualifying, Mirko Bortolotti, before that two-place grid penalty he was given. Another man it's worth pointing out, Miki Monras, down to 9th place. He started in 8th place, so he's only lost one position, but in theory he's someone you would have expected to be coming back up the order after his strong weekend at Silverstone. And I think we can go down to the pits for news of a pit stop there with James Gornall.
Jack, Benjamin Arish is in the pits. He's just had a new nose. They're putting the damper cover back on. He should be out in just a few seconds.
Okay, thank you very much, James. So it must have been Benjamin Lariche who spun up at the top of Eau Rouge rather than Jose Luis Abadim. There he is, Benjamin heading out. He had his best qualifying of the season, putting it in 10th position, but then he must have got a sluggish start to be involved in that melee at the top of Radion. So we wait. Here's our leader, Will Bratt, and you were saying, look,
well, yeah.
How close they've closed in. Alex Brundle actually was saying that the second right-hander at Stavolo is a very tricky one.
It is, yeah. We're producing a lot of power with these cars, and it's on most cars that I've driven here, it's an easy flat corner, but with the power and the speed we're taking into it, it certainly gets your attention, and that was certainly getting Bortolotti's attention that time around, just sliding it all the way through the exit. You've got to be, as everyone knows, very careful of those curbs, so he'll be very careful of that. And also we've got to be aware whether Bratt will get any sort of penalty for running so wide on the first lap into first turn into La Source.
Down towards Pouhon come our top three, covered by only 1.8 seconds. Bratt, Bortolotti and Zanella, the top three here in round 5 of the 2011 FIA Formula 2 Championship. Bortolotti closing in all the time, it seems, on Will Bratt. There's barely a car length or two between them, so this could be a challenge if Bortolotti's got a boost in him and can coordinate his way through the two parts at Stavolo nicely. Oh, Bratt getting very sideways. He's starting to feel the pressure, I think, as he sees Bortolotti looming in his mirrors. Oh, gets a little rear wheel on the curb. That's not going to help him at all because these curbs just get so slippery in the wet.
It's a complete no-no. You've got to stay well away from those curbs. And I think what Bortolotti really needs to try and do, if he's running a little bit low on the wing compared to Bratt, he needs to try and be as close as he possibly can heading towards the Stavolo 1 and 2. So he can give himself the best possible chance heading towards Blanchimont and back down to the chicane, but maybe not quite close enough despite that little error with Will touching the curb.
Mirko very happy with his qualifying performance, as you'd expect being on pole position, but he struggled a little bit in Spa-Francorchamps, in Magny-Cours, I should say, because he got a first and a second at Silverstone, and then a 6th and a 3rd at Magny-Cours wasn't really what he was after, and he especially struggled in the wet, so we assumed maybe he would struggle here. So here is Brundle and Hegevold battling over 4th and 5th position as they turn their way through La Source. Is Ramon Pinero up to the back of Mikkel Mack yet? No, he's not. So it's still Brundle, Hegevold, Marinescu, Snooks, Stortz, Monras and Mikkel Mack, the top 10. So out down the hill they come. It was Partifa-Surishwaran, of course, that Hegevold and Brundle were lapping. Fastest lap of the race again, though. That man, Ramon Pinero, the Spaniard from Barcelona, who has competed in a number of things, really. He was in Formula Parma Audi last year, where he finished 3rd in the championship. Before that, he headed out at Formula BMW Europe. And actually, in 2008, he was set the fastest lap here at Spa in the 2008 Formula BMW Europe race here. So he certainly has some pace, and I think he'll be hoping for a little bit of a better race tomorrow. A similar qualifying session I think would suit him, but a better race in an ideal world. Bratt's still getting very sideways, and the rain is still just drizzle really, rather than anything too severe. Weather forecast is meant to be sunnier tomorrow, so we've got 1 minute left on the clock, so Will Bratt is going to start his final lap of the race. It looked for a moment as though he was going a bit slowly out of the bus stop, and Bortolotti had closed in. The gap is 2.1 seconds, but no, Will Bratt sets the fastest lap of the race so far, but then Zanella immediately sets the fastest lap of the race so far, but I don't think we're going to get much change between our top three. Will Bratt then took the lead with a
well, it was a good move to take the lead, but moving up into second place was an interesting tactic around the outside at La Source, which we've seen Kimi Räikkönen employ predominantly in Formula One. As they climb the hill now and head up towards the Kemmel Straight from the final time, but Ramon Pinero again setting the fastest lap of the race. But oh, there's Jack Clark. He's spun and he's been almost in the barrier, possibly has touched it. So Clark was running in 12th position. He's got the engine started. He will spin the car back around and get going again. Is there going to be many signs of damage on that? Yeah, he's definitely gone frontwards in. So I'm expecting there, Jonathan, he's just gone wide on Pouillon and straight across into the Armco.
Yeah, I think he's done what he did at the top of the circuit earlier on. Just probably got his right rear on that curb, and you know, as I said earlier, you only need to touch it, and you know, that would send you off into the barriers. And I was just thinking, a real shame we're not seeing Pinero at the front with that, with those lap times that he's doing, because he's that was a purple lap time again, fastest of anyone, a 2:33.5, and you know, 2 or 3 tenths quicker than all these guys here. So yeah, we just caught the end of it, so I presume that's what happened, really.
Yeah, it looks fairly straightforward, an accident, and there is Will Bratt coming through exactly the same position through Le Fagnes chicane, and well, no matter how he took the lead, he's driven a pretty confident race out the front, hasn't he?
He has, yeah, hasn't made a mistake, done exactly what he needs to do, hasn't pushed himself over his limit, and you know, kept the gap more or less at the 1 to 2 seconds all the way through. We'll have to wait and see whether the car's got anything to say about the Turn 1 incident, because obviously that gave him a couple of positions straight off. But yeah, from there on, he's done everything he has to have done.
So Will Bratt, the man from Banbury in the United Kingdom, 23 years old in the Unipark car, turns his way into the bus stop for the final time, and I think we are going to see a very, very happy Will Bratt come across the line. He takes the win in round 5 of the 2011 FIA Formula 2 Championship. Will Bratt wins the race. Second place for Mirko Bortolotti, only 2.4 seconds behind the flag. Third place for Christopher Zanella. He'll probably think it could have been more. Then we've got crawling out of the final corner Tobias Hagevold. Alex Brundle is going to come home in 5th place. 6th position for Timo Storz, which I think is going to be comfortably his best result of the season. He got a 9th in race 1 at Magny-Cours. That's Partiva Suresh-Warren, and Pinero's almost in there. Pinero goes out wide onto the runoff, and who is going to get this position? Is going to be Pinero. No, it's not. I wonder if he backed off there, because I think if he'd gone past, he'd have taken the position by going off the track limit. Green flag waved from the back of the field then. It's Will Bratt versus Ramon Pinero off the line here at Spa. The lights come on. And we're away, and who's going to get the best getaway? There's lots of movement in the midfield. It looks like Mirko Bortolotti's got a good start. Jose Luinabadin pushed onto the grass a little bit further back, but Bortolotti slices through the middle of the 2 front row men. Are they all going to get safely round La Source? No, Pinero spins. Ramon Pinero, what a disastrous weekend this is turning into. Mirko Bortolotti, I think, has taken the lead. Hagevold is up into 2nd place. Bratt in 3rd. Is that Jordan King possibly up into 4th place? Astonishing. So then we've got Clark and Alex Brundle battling, but Hagevold, the Spa specialist, is on form here. Zanella has lost out to Jordan King then, who probably darted on the inside of all that action. It's side by side for the lead, up to Lecombe for the first time. Then it's about 8 abreast behind King. Has he just moved up? Is he still in 3rd? Everyone goes across the runoff there, including Jordan King, and this is going to get a bit messy now. Zanella slots in behind King, then it's Bratt, then it's Monras, and well, we'll try and sort out exactly how it's standing, but Bortolotti and Hagevold have broken away. Jordan King running in 3rd, a frantic first half of the lap.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I'd like to see a replay of Turn 1 at the Source to see what happened between Pinero and Bortolotti, but yeah, Bortolotti went down the inside of Pinero, but I don't know whether there was contact. I would assume there would be, but yeah, frantic first lap.
We saw yesterday, there's Snegerev trying to go around the outside of Kelvin Schnooks at Pouillon, but he decides to go on the runoff, as does James Cole. So everyone has somehow made it safely through. Is Ramon still going? I don't think
he's caught the field back up, because he was facing the wrong way up at the Source. I did look out the window and I didn't see him come down, but we'll have to see.
Okay, well, we'll wait and see. These cars, of course, do have starter motors, so there's now Snegerev behind Party-Versuch and you can see the standings then coming up on the bottom of the screen. Mickey Monras is the winner. Will Bratt is the big loser in this. It's going to be interesting to see what happened to him, because he dropped from 1st to 5th. Zanella is looking racy behind Jordan King. We may see that move heading down towards Blanchimont. They both go off the circuit there at Blanchimont. Keep it all together. Zanella looks. Jordan King comes across to defend nicely. Is he going to get it stopped in time? Yes, he is. Jack Clark running strongly as well. So who's that flying off? Oh, that's Julian Theobald, his best qualifying of the season so far. And unfortunately, probably just too late on the brakes there into the bus stop.
Yeah, easily done, actually. There's a bump that's getting worse every year down there, and it catches you out if you're not careful on the brake zone. So it can easily end up like that. But Jordan King, fantastic job, but those two guys going wide at Blanchimont is not the approved line, so they've got to be careful.
The incident at Turn 1 is under investigation, it says here on the timing screen, so the clerks of the course and the race directors having a look. Well, let's investigate it for ourselves, Jonathan.
Yeah, well, Bortolotti tried to go around the outside there. Pinero, we couldn't quite see, but he was way behind Bortolotti at that stage. It just ran wide and got on the power on the AstroTurf there, it looks like to me.
Well, that's interesting. Everyone obviously watched Will Bratt's onboard yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll all do that. It'll be fine. So that's going to be interesting to see. Now here's Jordan King. He's lost out now. Everyone seems to have got past him. So Jordan's obviously made a mistake somewhere, possibly up at Les Camps, and he's now coming under pressure from Mihai Marinescu. So I think from 3rd, he's now behind Jack Clark. So I think he's down to 7th. But he was saying before the race he just wants to pick up some points. Really, he doesn't want this good qualifying to. He needs to keep his feet on the ground.
I don't know whether that really happened when you put your crash helmet on. Everything changes, so I think he'd be aiming for the best possible result. Obviously, the qualifying was fantastic for him, and he'll be desperate to try and keep Marinescu behind him.
Let's not forget, this is in effect his first race, because after his spin yesterday, he was just kind of cruising around at the back of the order. Mihai Marinescu has actually set the fastest sector time of anyone in the first sector, so probably with the aid of a slipstream and that sort of thing behind Jordan King. So it's all just calming down a little bit now, which is good for my voice as they make their way out towards Blanchimont. We've got Bortolotti and Hegerwald really have romped clear at the front. Bortolotti sets a purple sector 2 time, but Hegerwald looks like he is very, very close indeed. Much later on the brakes, it seemed, than Bortolotti. So if Hegerwald can keep this all together, he could have an effort, not probably into La Source, but a good run through Eau Rouge, and he'll be right onto the back. So Zanella again finds himself into 3rd place. Then we've got Will Bratt in 4th, closely followed by Mickey Monras in 5th. Jack Clark running strongly up in 6th place, and here is Marinescu finally getting past Jordan King. King switches back to the outside, then will he try to get the cutback? Can't quite, I don't think, get enough power down, but still. It's 8th place now for Jordan King, but I think he'd have bitten your hand off if you'd offered him that at the start of the weekend.
Yeah, but he's in the ideal position to have a good run through Eau Rouge now, and this is absolutely perfect. He needs to get a good run there and get right in the slipstream of Marinescu, maybe even use the boost. And he's actually lost a bit of time now, I've said that, through Eau Rouge.
And here comes Mickey Monras challenging Will Bratt up the inside into Les Camps, not quite close enough. Bratt perhaps weaving a little bit naughtily. He needs to be careful, does Will Bratt, with those sorts of manoeuvres. But
and was that a car on the grass, actually, on the run down to Les Camps, actually, in the background I saw there? I couldn't quite see who it was, but a bit of weaving, I think.
Yeah, it looks quite close in that scrap. Probably the Mikkel Mack, Alex Brundle kind of area. Ramon Pinero is still going, but he's 14 seconds behind Julian Theobald, who spun as well. So Ramon Pinero, 38 seconds off the lead, unfortunately. So I think the biggest mover now is going to be Mickey Monras, because Will Bratt doesn't really seem to have the pace at the moment, whilst Hegerwald is keeping Bortolotti honest as they make their way towards the Spanish chicane. Brundle was saying that if Eau Rouge was a flat corner, you'd brake and downshift 2 gears, such is the nature of the corner, and it's just the steepness that takes the speed off.
Yeah, the compression of the corner really helps you in the heart of the corner. So yeah, it's flat, but it's only just flat. In race conditions, on old tyres, they're probably taking a bit of a lift. And obviously Will Bratt knew that he's going to have to go through Eau Rouge as quick as he possibly can on that lap to stop Monras overtaking, and that's why he saw him go a little bit wide.
So through Pouhon they turn, and this is interesting because Will Bratt is running the lowest wing setting, and Monras, what does it look like to you, Jonathan? Do you think he's equally as low?
It does to me, yeah. I would have thought they are both on hole 1, the lowest downforce configuration. You would normally tend to take a bit of wing off for the races, otherwise you're just going to be swallowed up by the competition. Some of them were on hole 2 during qualifying, but yeah, normally you trim it off a little bit for the race. And just on our timing screens, we've got an investigation into the Riche and is it Brundle? Yeah, Brundle on the timing screens.
I wonder that I can only imagine that's a mistake and it's meant to be car 9, which would be Mikkel Mack, but unless something between Riche and Brundle has happened without noticing. So Mirko Bortolotti leads after 6 laps. Hegerwold starting to fall back into the clutches of Zanella, I think. On that lap, Zanella was a whole second quicker than Tobias Hegerwold. So that's going to be interesting as the remaining 11 laps develop. Now, what can Miki Monras do this time? He's very, very strong out of La Source. He's not as close as he has been previously, I don't think, to Will Bratt. But, well, the timing screens still say yellow at turn 5, but they were pretty close to getting Benjamin Lariche's car out of the way, I would predict. So as they climb the hill up towards Eau Rouge, really throwing it out of there. It's about 155 miles an hour you exit Eau Rouge, which is some awesome speed. Yeah,
it's one of the most amazing corners in the world. I wonder whether is he quick? Yeah, he's close enough this time, and I think the yellow flag's hit. No, they're still out. We've got our timing screens.
It's difficult to actually see any physical yellow there. Yeah. Oh, we've got.
Jack Clark? Or?
It looks like Hegerwold or Johannes Theobald. So let's zoom in a bit more. It's Tobias Hegerwold.
Oh, no, out of second position.
Out of the race from second place. He's obviously just dropped it. He's got the car going again, so that promotes Zanella up into second. This is now a battle for the final podium position then. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that at some point, but I imagine he just got on the power too quickly coming out of the first right-hander at Lecom, which is about 75 miles an hour. Here we go. Oh, he's lost that big time, hasn't he?
Yeah, very bizarre. On that corner, you'd normally lose it a little bit later on. So, I can only presume that he might have missed a downshift and then tapped it one too many times and then locked the rear wheels. That's the only thing I can say. But it's very, very quick spin in a place that you wouldn't normally see it.
It'll be interesting to see what Miki Monras has to say after this lap. I think he's going to rue Benjamin Lariche for retiring up there at Lecom, and then Tobias Hegerwold for retiring up at Lecom as well. It was interesting from Hegerwold because it looked as though he got the car going again, but he did back into the tyre barrier, so perhaps had some rear wing damage or something like that. Bratt perhaps has closed in a little on Christopher Zanella, but this being the final lap, it doesn't look as though there's much he can do. Mihai Marinescu still in 5th place, Jack Clark still in 6th place as the F2 drivers watch the screens to keep track on their drivers on this final lap. 5.2 seconds now, the gap that Mirko Bortolotti has. He was disappointed with his pace in Magny-Cours, but a pole position yesterday, although he was demoted to 3rd, he had the pace for pole position, and a dominating, commanding race win today. Would have been interesting to see if how things would have panned out if La Source had gone a bit differently, and Pinero hadn't spun and Will Bratt had stayed up towards the front, but it all fell perfectly for the young Italian from Trentino, and he makes his way towards Stabilo for the final time. He's comfortably held off Christopher Zanella, and talking of Zanella, this is going to give Mirko Bortolotti the championship lead by about 5 points. That's rough maths in my head, so don't quote me on that, but it's going to be something in that region. He had a 2-point disadvantage and will get 7 points more for winning. So yeah, I think it will be a 5-point advantage for Mirko Bortolotti as he turns his way through Blanchimont for the final time. A 2nd place yesterday, but it's going to be the top step of the podium today in round 6 of the 2011 FIA Formula 2 Championship. The checkered flag is held out, and the checkered flag falls for Mirko Bortolotti for the 2nd time this season. He becomes our 2nd double winner of the year after this man, Christopher Zanella. 3rd place for Will Bratt. Miki Monras pushed him pretty hard, but could only come home in 4th position. And then we've got a bit of a wait.
And so, with this win, Mirko Bortolotti, aged just 21, is now the leader of the championship with a 5-point lead over Christopher Zanella. That's before heading to the Nurburgring, which will conclude the first half of the season.
And we're away. It's a very slow start actually from Will Bratt, isn't it? Ramon Pinero gets a little bit bulked up behind him, but Mirko Bortolotti is flying away at the front. He is comfortably going to hold the lead. Jack Clark in the black and yellow car diving up on the inside. He somehow manages to take second place after starting 6th on the grid. Ramon Pinero gets a little bit bulked in the middle. He's going to lose a position there in the midfield as well. Slower start from Sung Hak Mun, but it's Mirko Bortolotti who comfortably leads. Zanella is getting pushed onto the outside as they make their way around the arena complex for the first time. Zanella holds on around the outside of Marinescu, then takes the inside right-hander as the cars just try and sort themselves out. Tobias Hagevold, a disappointing qualifying from him, is forced out by Aman Ibrahim. But, well, James Cornell, Mirko Bortolotti has made a monster start.
That's right, Jack. He really has been on song this weekend with that pole position, and right now everything seems to be going his way.
So Alex Brundle is having to go defensive from Will Bratt as they head down towards the hairpin at turn 8 for the first time, the Dunlop curve. Jordan King is looking racy. He made a great start in the second race at Spa, and it looks like he's put in a fairly good one there again, but Will Bratt gets very sideways on the exit as they come up to the Schumacher S. It's pretty much flat out in 5th gear, that little sequence of corners, about 130 miles an hour, but as we make our way down into the bit curve for the first time, Bortolotti starting to pull away, then it's a three-way train really for second place. Ramon Pinero having a little scrap with Jordan King. He gets past Jordan King, and then it's Miki Monras, and then behind him is Kelvin Schnooks actually, so Schnooks has made a good start as well, but the battle is going to be on for second place. Jack Clark knows it. He goes a little bit defensive on the way up into the chicane for the first time, and is just about able to hold that position. Marinescu still in 4th, so Marinescu really the big loser off the start, and Christopher Zanella the big winner after a poor qualifying performance. He has managed to climb further back up the order. Here's a battle of the Germans, then Tobias Hagevold sliding past Johannes Theobald as they turn into the final corner at turn 16 and back out onto the start-finish straight once more. And here's Miki Monras having a look at up the inside of Jordan King a little bit further back in a move for second place. Zanella dives up the inside of Jack Clark and makes it through, and that was really a classic piece of defending. Zanella didn't turn in till very late in the day, so Jack Clark had no chance of the cutback.
That's right, Jack. He just held him out there, and it meant that it was an easy manoeuvre for him. And as soon as you've lined that up, you know it's finished.
So Ramon Pinero ahead of his fellow Barcelona man Miki Monras. They are running there a little bit further down the order, about 6th and 7th for those two. We've had no casualties on this first lap. Mirko Bortolotti running very strongly as he turns through turns 6 and 7. Zanella now starting to make a breakaway from Jack Clark, and Will Bratt and Alex Brundle. The battle of the Brits makes its way down towards the hairpin at the Dunlop curve once more. Will Bratt, who moved up to 4th position in the championship with that strong weekend at Spa, picking up a 1st and a 3rd after a difficult weekend at Magny-Cours, down in the lower reaches of the top 10. And Jordan King's been impressive, hasn't he, since coming into the series at Spa, James? No one expected him to be running quite this far up the order.
Jordan really is doing well, considering his only experience is in Formula One UK. Before that it was just karting, and he's consistently towards the middle and front of the grid, so he is doing a fantastic job.
So a definite train starting to queue up behind Jack Clark at the moment, the man from Effingham in Surrey, enjoying his strongest race of the season so far. A man who picked up a couple of podiums last year, 2 I think, one at Brands Hatch, to be looking to pick up his first podium of the season so far. It was 3 podiums he picked up last year, in fact, Brands Hatch, Algarve and Valencia, but right in his slipstream is Mihai Marinescu. Clark jinks to the inside to defend, and that works very effectively. Marinescu getting all sorts of out of control in the braking zone, manages to collect it all up and back together again, so Clark holds on to that 3rd place, but he's going to have to defend like that for a long time, I feel, because Alex Brundle and Will Bratt are starting to come into contention, and Ramon Pinero. And there we see Ramon Pinero, really a man who's been without luck this season, often strong in qualifying, but a few spins in the opening laps.
At Spa especially, he had a lot of promise, but twice threw it off the circuit on his own. I think we could see him win this year, but already he's messed 2 opportunities up.
He is on the tail of Will Bratt. Their way down towards the Dunlop curve, the hairpin at the bottom of this circuit, which signals one of the best overtaking opportunities, the lowest point on the circuit as well. A bit of a lock-up from Will Bratt as he negotiates the 2nd gear 60-mile-an-hour right-hander and then starts to climb the hill. That doesn't seem to have cost him too much time. He's a little closer to Marinescu than he is to Brundle. But Mirko Bortolotti, he's it's being kept fairly honest now by Christopher Zanella. Still only a couple of seconds between them, and Ramon Pinero really sliding his way out of the corners. He's a joy to watch as Ramon really throws the car around. Timo Stort's another man who's doing a pretty solid job this weekend.
Ramon's got to be careful actually, because those rear tyres, if he keeps driving like that, could run out by the end of the race, and then he's open to attack from the guys behind. So a little bit of tyre management's important here.
And of course it's worth pointing out boost management as well, because these guys have got the overboost if they wish to use it, which ups there to 500 brake horsepower. Ramon Pinero coming into the pits then, and I think this is a drive-through penalty, James.
That's right, Jack. Actually, he was out of line on the start grid, and they've given him a drive-through for it, so that's quite a harsh penalty, but expected.
Well, that's a signal, an indication really of Ramon Pinero's luck so far this season, and coming so early in the race as well. We haven't got that much field spread here, so Ramon is going to drop right down the order. Mickey Monras is going to be coming under pressure from Jordan King. There is Ramon making his way through the pit lane and out again. He's going to be, I think, pretty much plumb last by the time he comes out. There is Jordan King. He is heading around the second left-hander in the Mercedes arena, and then out on towards the turn 6 left-hander, which is where our leaders already are. Here is Monras. He seems to have shaken off Jordan King just a little bit, but and that's Mihai Marinescu. Marinescu is out from 4th place. That's down there at turn 6, I think, isn't it? So we'll see if we can find out what happened to Mihai, but he has thrown this away. That was a strong performance. He was in a strong position. He was on course to equal his best result of the season. Here's a look at the replay. That's an odd one, isn't it? Because it just looks as though he's perhaps lost it, applied the power too hard coming out of the first left-hander at turn 6. And into the left-hander they turn, and out towards the flat-out blast up towards the chicane. And this is one of the opportunities, really, where you can use the overboost to try and get alongside Mikkel Mack, though that's not going to help him. Very, very sideways on the exit curb, keeps it all together, but my talk of using the boost to get past was a little premature there.
You never know, Jack, maybe he pressed it on the way out of the corner in preparation for a move, but he did push just a little bit too hard there.
It's an extra 75 brake horsepower that the overboost button gives you, so it is a considerable amount of power to put through the wheels of what are already pretty powerful machines. So Mikkel Mack drops back just a tiny bit as he crosses the line this time behind Will Bratt, making their way down towards the first corner, and then Timo Stort's running behind them. This is the battle for, I think, 7th place. Will Bratt currently is holding ahead of Mikkel Mack in 8th, and that would be Mikkel Mack's best result of the season so far. He picked up a 9th position at Silverstone. He was looking sideways again there, but he was looking odds-on for a good position at Spa, wasn't he, until he got involved in an incident with Benjamin Lariche.
Yes, he had an incident back at one of the chicanes, and he was leaving some big dark lines there, really pushing hard. And if I was to tip anyone of all the youngsters this year for a surprise podium, I think actually it would be Mikkel Mack.
Okay, well, we'll hold you to that as Benjamin Lariche makes his way out of the stadium complex. And Ibrahim, who is starting to come under pressure from Lariche. Ibrahim has dropped back from Tobias Hagevold in front of him, and is starting to come under a little bit of pressure. But coming under no pressure at all is Mirko Bortolotti, making his way up towards the chicane. And it really has been a commanding performance. Here's a replay of the start then, and well, let's just see. Mirko Bortolotti is going to get an amazing getaway, I think.
He is, and if you look at Ramon Pinero there, he was far too far forwards in that grid spot, which is what I think got him that drive-through penalty earlier on in the race.
Yeah, that seems to explain it. Jack Clark, very brave in the early stages, launching one up the inside of Mihai Marinescu. And look at Zanella. I didn't really spot that, but he was just creeping up the inside, and as a result, he managed to gain a lot of positions and then stuck it round the outside at turn 2. So impressive driving there from the young Swissman. The 7th place battle still is being headed by Will Bratt, and then we've got a longer train further back. There's Johannes Theobald in the black car that just flashed out of shot. He's the man we were talking about earlier. Benjamin Lariche sending one up the inside now of Aman Ibrahim. This is going to be good news for Ramon Pinero, who you can see in the white and fluorescent yellow car behind, because if they start battling, Pinero will be able to close in and possibly make a move. And as we can see now, he's right on the back of Aman Ibrahim, but Lariche has moved up into 13th position then. Benjamin, who has picked up 1 point in the second race at Silverstone and an 11th place at Magny-Cours as well, so he's not on for his best result of the season unless he can get up to challenge the likes of Johannes Theobald and Max Snegerev. but here is Pinero side by side with Aman Ibrahim. Pinero's surely going to get pushed wide. He is, keeps his foot in and keeps the position, does he? Well, they're still going to be side by side on the run down into the hairpin. Ibrahim will have the inside line. Pinero fancies his chances around the outside. It's a long, long way to go around there, Ramon, and as a result, he doesn't quite hold the position, but he's looking like he's going to get past Ibrahim before too long.
I heard Alex Brundle actually talking about that outside manoeuvre on the hairpin, and he says if you're brave enough, you can take people by surprise.
There's not many people braver than Ramon Pinero, I don't think, out there in the field. He's going wide into that corner as well, so pushing very hard is the young man from Barcelona who did finish third in the Formula Palmer Audi Championship in the UK last year. Will Bratt, after saying it looked as though he'd kind of sorted his head out, he seems to be coming under a little bit more pressure from Mikkel Mack, who again is lighting up those rear tyres, but doesn't seem to be struggling with tyre wear just yet. And all this is allowing Timo Storz just to slightly move a little bit closer into the action for what is 7th, 8th and 9th position, with the 6th place man Kelvin Schnooks up in front of them. And this is an impressive performance from Schnooks as well. This is looking like it could be his best result of the season so far. Bratt going wide into the hairpin. Mikkel Mack at the moment just following, perhaps just saving a few boosts until he knows he can make the move for definite.
Will looks a little bit tentative, actually. It might be that he does have a problem. You mentioned that we think it could be him and Alex Brundle that came together. And he locked up a little bit a couple of corners ago, and I think he might be nursing a problem.
So they make their way down into this left-right sequence of corners, and here's Mack as I thought he was having a little look up the inside. It's a brave move there, and if anything that's going to compromise his exit speed, isn't it? So he's going to be further away from Bratt. You need to really either make the move or don't make the move. Those half-hearted looks compromise your apex speed.
That's right, it's a little bit like chess. You have to set these things up a few corners in advance, and when you get it right, it's very satisfying.
And I'm imagining that Mirko Bortolotti is a very satisfied Italian right now. Turns through the Coca-Cola curve once more to head out over the start-finish line. It's been a dominating performance from Mirko Bortolotti, who takes the victory in round 7 of the 2011 Formula 2 Championship. He's a very happy young Italian, and Christopher Zanella comes home in 2nd place, so still piling on the pressure on our championship leader. Jack Clark is going to take his first podium of the season. In 3rd place, Miki Monras we saw coming home in 4th, and Mikkel Mack in the closing stages coming under a reasonable amount of pressure from Timo Storz, but Will Bratt has managed to hold on. A longer hold before we're finally away. It's a good start again from Mirko Bortolotti. Max Snegerev darting out in the middle, and Tobias Hagevold isn't going to be close enough to make a move. Look at Johannes Theobald coming up the inside, challenging for 2nd place. Jack Clark super late on the brakes to slide through the middle of them, and around the outside there at turn 1, that is Will Bratt moving up into 2nd position. A very good move from him. They're all safely around the first corner. That was an impressive manoeuvre from Will Bratt. Johannes Theobald still then 4th. Christopher Zanella pushing hard behind to try and go around the outside of Mikkel Mack. He's then going to have the inside line for the right-hander at turn 4, and he moves up into what is, I think, 6th position. They all filter through. We've got one car off. Is that Max Snegerev? I couldn't quite see, but on the way down into here's a replay of the start, and Will Bratt, a great move here, James.
That's right, he used the space on the outside. Everybody just seemed to go tight, and he's taken a good advantage through it.
So very impressive from him. Are we going to see the incident towards the back of the pack? Yes, we are. Oh, it's almost roll for Max Snegerev. I thought it was Snegerev. It was Snegerev, and he has had a fairly almost roll there. But hopefully he can rejoin the race. These cars, of course, do have starter motors in them. So the rest of the field making their way down towards the hairpin at the Dunlop curve for the first time. There's the number 2 car, James Cole, the ex-British Formula 4 champion, and off goes Plamen Kralev towards the barriers and softly into the barriers. Will that have damaged his rear left suspension? It didn't look like too hard a hit, but he will try and get going again, and I think he will get going again by the looks of things. Then we've got Alex Brundle and Jack Clark doing battle. They will be off to Brands Hatch, their home race next time out in late July. So we're focusing here on this 2nd race of the weekend here at the Nurburgring. Mirko Bortolotti leads it, as he has led every lap of racing action so far this weekend. But Will Bratt putting him under a reasonable amount of pressure. Then it's 2 Germans in 2nd and 3rd place. Jack Clark having a little look up the inside of Alex Brundle, who did collide here with Will Bratt in race 1. And he's going to be coming under a lot of pressure from Jack Clark as they choose whether to use their overboosts or not. In fact, it's Mickey Monras looking the most racy. Johannes Theobald running very, very strongly, but he's going to be passed, is he, by Christopher Zanella. Zanella looks to the outside. Johannes Theobald keeps it all under control, and the German has a reasonable amount of experience on German circuits.
Johannes is actually really impressing me this weekend. He's finding himself in a position he hasn't been in Formula 2, and he's keeping Zanella behind him, who of course has been fantastic this year already, so hopefully he can get some good results under his belt.
Yep, Zanella of course the second place man in the championship. Johannes Theobald has raced in Germany for the majority of his career, really, doing Formula Koenig. Back in 2004 was when his racing started, a couple of years in the Recaro Formula 3 trophy. Managed to shake off Mickey Monras. He had to defend a little bit going into the first corner. And Alex Brundle now is right up behind Mikkel Mack. And again, fairly static positions at the moment as they climb the hill up towards the Schumacher S. And there is no doubt a very disappointed Sunhack Mudd standing by the side of the road and out of the race. The battle for fourth position is still ongoing, and Johannes Theobald here has just lost out, or has he? Mikkel Mack certainly got up alongside, and Brundle opportunistically darts up the inside line and makes it through. Now he's going to be in the slipstream of Johannes Theobald. Clark is right up behind Mikkel Mack as well. If anyone, I think it's going to be Clark who makes the move on Mikkel Mack. Under braking for the chicane they come. And it's a late move from Alex Brundle actually up the inside of Johannes Theobald, and they collect each other, and that is a spectacular roll for Johannes Theobald. Mickey Monras takes avoiding action. You can see Theobald moving around in the car, so he should be all right. But a late look up the inside from Alex Brundle. It doesn't look as though he has any damage to the car, but he and Mikkel Mack have made up a couple of positions, but that was quite a spectacular accident, James.
That was. It looked like Brundle was really sure of that manoeuvre going into it, but he backed out quite late on when he saw Johannes coming across, and that often signals the end for either driver. They do come together in those situations.
And that, of course, is the danger of open-wheel racing. And Alex Brundle then, that means he has inherited fifth position after all of that. So Johannes Theobald, I'm pretty sure, will be out of the race because these strong F2 cars, I don't think the suspensions can take that kind of pounding on the tarmac as it flips over. And we've got the safety car out, so for the first time this season we have got the safety car, the Audi, waiting down there at the bottom of the pit lane. And let's see this replay. It's Alex Brundle. It's a very, very late move. Theobald turns in and up he goes, and the first roll isn't quite as spectacular, but then has a couple more, doesn't he? And that's going to put your spine out of place, really, as a driver, isn't it?
Yeah, those cars are pretty solid, and Johannes was a little bit offline there. He gave an opportunity to Brundle, so not the best entrance to the corner with dramatic consequences.
Safety car comes in then, and Mirko Bortolotti will lead the field away. Out of the final corner he turns, and across the start-finish line, Will Bratt not really close enough, and he's going to be right up behind though and use a boost, but I'm sure Mirko Bortolotti will have saved a boost as well, so he comes under no pressure at all, really, of note, down into turn one for the first time on this restart. Zanella is now right up with our third place man, Tobias Hagevold, so that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. If anything, Zanella is going to be the raciest man on the circuit. Brundle appears to have had no ill effects from that collision. There's Timo Storz and Ramon Pinero. Ramon's made his way a little bit further up the order. I think he is now running, well, towards the latter end of the top 10. But Zanella, look at this, right up behind Johannes Theobald now. Tobias Hagevold, I should say. And he's looking to the outside. That's going to give him the better cutback down towards the Dunlop curve, but he got a little bit out of shape, just tried to get on the power a little bit too early, but he's going to be right in the toe. Hagevold will go defensive down into the hairpin. He doesn't need to because Zanella's not quite close enough, doesn't quite clip the apex there, because the trick is to hug the inside all the way around.
Well, he was really trying hard in that last section and almost lined something up. I think with Zanella it's pretty unpredictable. He could dart past at any time.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to seeing if that does turn out to be the case. Through turn 7, the Ford curve, and down towards the Dunlop curve once more. This is really, there's a few overtaking opportunities on this Nurburgring track. Turn 1, then this one, turn 8, and then up into the chicane. But of course the chicane isn't always the best place to overtake, as Alex Brundle demonstrated just a few laps ago I should say. It's up into the Schumacher S as they come. But our race leader is still Mirko Bortolotti. As I said a minute ago, continuing to extend his lead over Will Bratt. And if anything, Hagevold's just got a little bit of breathing space now, and Brundle is closer to Zanella than Zanella is to Hagevold.
out onto the back straight. And Will Brundle, well, I wonder if he's been slightly unnerved with that incident with Johannes Theobald. Maybe he'll be less inclined to throw any lunges up into the chicane this time. So quite a steep uphill braking zone, as you can see, which means you can actually brake a little bit later than you could if it was on the flat, because the uphill nature of the circuit adds to the retardation as Brundle exits the final corner, heads over the start-finish line.
Brundle will probably be worried about his front corner actually having contact with Theobald, especially since just light contact in the first race saw him out of the race with damage.
Absolutely, that's something that's going to be playing on Alex Brundle's mind. And of course we saw the damage that Will Bratt sustained in race 1 slowed him down considerably as well. So there's no doubt with such a hefty front right impact that Brundle's going to be struggling just a tiny bit as he turns into the left-hander at turn 4 out in this Mercedes arena. But he is definitely closer to Zanella, so if anyone's going to make a move, it looks like it's going to be Brundle. Mirko Bortolotti has been unstoppable so far this year. And the former Formula 3 Italia champion is looking odds-on to extend his lead at the top of the championship. He extended it to 10 points over Zanella with the win in race 1. And it could get even bigger if he can finish in first place and Zanella is unable to get onto the podium, which is looking like being the case at the moment. There's Jack Clark after his podium in race 1. He's currently running in 7th position, so a stronger weekend overall really from Jack Clark, isn't it?
He seems to have his head in the right place actually. We've seen him get a little bit flustered before, but when he puts it together, he is one of the fastest guys out there, and I'm really pleased for him this weekend.
Yeah, he started the season impressively. The first free practice session of the season at Silverstone, he topped it, and it was all looking good really from then on in, but struggled in the races and qualifying just a little bit as Jack. But it's all coming together for him this weekend at the Nurburgring, and as he heads off next to his home circuit at Brands Hatch later on in July, we'll be hoping that a circuit he knows very well will yield him some good results. Tobias Hegerwald still then in that 3rd place through the final corner at the Coca-Cola curve. In 3rd gear, 70 miles an hour right-hander, and out onto the start-finish straight. Bortolotti hasn't completely shaken the attentions of Will Bratt, but I mean, we said it in the first race, it looks as though he's driving perfectly within himself at the moment.
I think he is. I think at the moment he's just controlling the race. He's not pulling away as fast now as he was in the earlier parts of the race, but he doesn't need to. He just needs to look after his tyres, brakes, and get another 25 points.
And that looks like he's very much a possibility as we approach the closing stages of this race now. Only a couple of laps to go here, and a little bit further back in the order then we've got, well, there is Fabio Gambarini. We've hardly seen much of him really so far today, but he's running a little stronger today than he did yesterday. Currently in about 16th position, I think. And he will be looking to improve on his positions if he can before the end of this race. Hegerwald going a little bit deep into the hairpin down there at turn 8. And as a result, it allows Zanella to just get a tiny bit closer. But Mirko Bortolotti has been pretty much unstoppable this weekend. A very commanding performance. Almost as commanding as, well, perhaps even more commanding compared to Christopher Zanella's antics at Magny-Cours 2 meetings ago. And Mirko Bortolotti turns into the chicane for the final time. It's been a commanding performance this weekend from Mirko Bortolotti. He's going to extend his lead at the top of the 2011 FIA Formula 2 Championship. The man from Trentino exits the final corner. The checker flag is out, and the checker flag falls for the 2nd time this weekend from Mirko Bortolotti. 2nd place man is going to be Christopher Zanella across the line. Mickey Monras is going to be very, very close to Jack Clark. In fact, he's got past Jack Clark, hasn't he, at the final corner. Another move we didn't see is Christopher Zanella has actually come across the line in 3rd place ahead of Tobias Hegerwald. So that's obviously taken place somewhere out of our sight. The rest of the field come across the line now then, and Marinescu.
Now look at the overall standings at the halfway point of the season. Bortolotti with a 22-point lead over Zanella. Monras well back in 3rd place, and he's got a 2-point advantage over Will Bratt. And then there's a big gap again back to Hegerwald and Brundle. We're into the second part of the season in the F2s. Tobias Hegevald on pole at Brands Hatch, a home race for the many British drivers in the field in the second half of the season. A young Spanish driver would make a name for himself. His name, Ramon Pinero.
And we're away, and it's a very good start from Jack Clark. He's going to slice through the middle of them. Jack Clark takes the lead with a brilliant start. So close to colliding as they make their way down into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Hegevald drops to third. Alex Brundle actually has gone around the outside is at third place. Ramon Pinero isn't close enough to make a move. Alex Brundle's going very, very wide. That's going to lose him some positions. We're all through Druids safely so far. That was very close between the lead three. Brundle's been pushed out onto the dirt a little bit, and now he's back in front of his old sparring partner. Jordan King goes across, and we've got collisions. Kelvin Snooks is off. Mihai Marinescu is off. Benjamin Lariche is off towards the back of that as well. King is going to be out of the race. Snooks is going to be out of the race. Benjamin Lariche is definitely going to be out of the race. Mihai Marinescu might get it going again, but now we've got Max Snegerev going side by side with Timo Storz up towards the right-hander at Hawthorn. And we've also got Bortolotti attempting a little late lunge. This could possibly be a safety car, depending on how quickly the marshals can sort all that out. Snegerev looking very racy behind Timo Storz, but what an incredible start from Jack Clark.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether his reaction was better than everyone else or whether he was a bit too quick. We'll have to have a little replay, but going back to that incident down at Graham Hill Bend, Jordan just came in way too hot, missed his braking point completely, and had to take to the grass, and clearly there was some cars there when he came back on. So
safety car is deployed. Yeah. So we've got the yellow.
That's a good decision. Yeah, those two cars are still there. Jordan's well out of the way, but that will take a few minutes to clear those.
Yeah, so the safety car will go out pretty much from where the incident is, actually, because the safety car here, oh no, it has been deployed from the pit lane this time. So the race is brought under neutralisation. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that incident in a minute, because it all kicked off kind of just towards the right-hand side of the screen, really. And so we will see if we... well, here we go then. Talk us through, Jonathan. Oh, yeah, King gets out of shape on the brakes, really, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously never going to make that. And obviously, I think the only thing you could say is missed the braking point, and that's the only place he could have gone to avoid the guys directly in front of him. But, of course, with the cars all bunched together so tightly at the beginning of the race, he was always going to come back on and collect some others. So, you know, he's fairly new to this level of racing, and I think you can put that down to a novice incident, I think.
Yeah, well, he's acquitted himself well early on in this championship. Ironically, the guy he stamped on the brake and took to the left to avoid hitting was Benjamin Lariche, but he managed to take him out anyway, so that didn't really help. So we've got the safety car out. Jack Clark leads the way. Ramon Pinero in second. Third place is Tobias Hegevald. So fourth place then, is that Mickey Monras? Yes, it is. Zanella up to fifth. Brundle drops to sixth. It looked to me as though Brundle just got pushed out wide up at Druids.
Yeah, I think he set himself up for that, really, by going pretty deep on the brakes and going wide through Druids. And unfortunately, when you're in that position, you're always going to be pushed wide.
And who is going to bolt? Jack Clark's gone, and it's going to be Tobias Hegevald. It's very close.
And Brundle's got a front left hanging off at the moment. I don't know what's caused that, but it must have been on the run down to Clearways.
Well, that
he needs to slow right down
there.
Yeah,
no, it's all out of kilter, isn't it? It's pointing to the left when he's trying to go straight. So that is not good news for Alex Brundle.
Yeah.
I can only assume someone's brake tested him or something like that, a little bit further back in the pack.
Close to him, if I remember rightly.
Don't go casting aspersions, Jonathan. So we've got the top four have made a little bit of a breakaway then. Christopher Zanella in fifth, ahead of Mirko Bortolotti in sixth. You can see that coming through. There is Zanella in the white and red Star machine, the Bortolotti Construzioni car, right up behind actually as they make their way out towards Westfield. This is an opportunity for Bortolotti to stamp on the boost button. I always say stamp, but it's obviously a button on the top left area of the screen, and Bortolotti hasn't pressed it. We've got side by side here Aman Ibrahim and I think Jose Luis Abadin going around the outside there at Hawthorns. Good move from the Spaniard, and that was a move for well, Alex Brundle, as they crossed the line, was involved too. So Aman Ibrahim actually has lost a few positions. Out towards Sheen they come through the quick left-hander, but the race leaders are already back into our sight, and Jack Clark and Ramon Pinero beginning to break away now from Tobias Hegevald, who's got Mickey Monras all over the back. But look at this, here comes Mirko Bortolotti around the outside. We're seeing a replay of Alex Brundle going off, but it's side by side between Zanella and Bortolotti. Bortolotti, I think, did an early boost, and he's got the comeback. Zanella, he just keeps it out of the gravel. That's going to put him under pressure from Timo Storz, but a good move there. And Storz is going for it up the inside. Great late move from Timo Storz. And now Max Snegerev is in there too. So Zanella losing 2 positions. It looked to me, we weren't watching it on the screen. That's the problem with such a great view here at Brands Hatch. We end up looking out the window. But Bortolotti just got an early boost, and as a result was able to get up alongside Christopher Zanella. So Bortolotti moves up into that 5th position. And he has been the fastest man, really, this weekend, and he'll now start to hunt down the rest of the pack. Can Max Snegerev do anything about Christopher Zanella now? As they make their way down Pilgrim's Drop, Zanella goes defensive. Snegerev looks to the outside. Is he going to be able to squeeze it around there? No, he's not. That's a very difficult manoeuvre to pull off, but Snegerev looking racy.
Yeah, I think if you're going to make that move around the outside of Hawthorns, you have to be well alongside before you actually get near the corner. Anywhere behind that, you won't make it.
So into the second slowest corner on the circuit, Sterling's 80 miles an hour. Well, third slowest technically. Oh, Snegerev getting a bit out of shape on the exit. Max Snegerev was here competing in British Formula 3 a few weeks ago, just to try and get his head back into the circuit, and it seems to have worked well for him, running up in 8th position now, comfortably inside the points, which is his best result this season is 9th, so he's doing pretty well. As they make their way down through Paddock Hill Bend. It's still the battle for 3rd place that is the closest on circuit at the moment, or the closest in the top few. Mickey Monras looking very, very racy. And, well, Alex Brundle out of this race. And it'll be very, very interesting to find out what happened. Maybe James Gornall can even grab a word with him if he makes his way back to the pits. But just the luck really not going for Alex. I mean, you can say you make your own luck, but to a degree, it feels like what's happened to him is, you know, there's nothing he can do about it to a large extent.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of frustration in him at the moment, and he needs to channel that into trying to get the laps in when it counts in practice and qualifying, and rather than let the aggression get the better of him. I think you know, he's clearly capable of some top qualifying, top race positions, and I think it's he just needs to try and work away at that rather than the bigger picture of worrying about anyone else, I think.
Here's the battle for the final podium position, making its way through clearways. It is Tobias Hagevold, and behind him is Mickey Monras. James Gornall there is down in the pits. I can't see, is it Alex Brundle he's down there with? Not sure. 4th spot, just off the podium. He's still yet to be on the podium since he won the race at Silverstone way back on the 17th of April earlier this year. After here, as we were saying earlier, we head off to the Red Bull Ring in Austria for the 26th and 27th of August, and then Monza and Barcelona. And it really does, you know, Formula 2 moved away from the World Touring Cars last year. It really does give people a better experience. As we've seen, Jordan King came in, you know, just get some experience of Spa and circuits like that, rather than heading off to Oschersleben.
Exactly right, yeah. The calendar we've got this year is second to none, really. It's fantastic, and the key really is to get experience in Formula 2 for when you move up towards Formula 1 and you know the circuits already, and it's a massive help, and not only a help when you get into the higher categories, Formula 1, but a help to get into those cars as well, because the team bosses know that you know most of the circuits, and that's the case when you come to Formula 2.
I fear Ramon has been a little bit held up by Plamin Kralev. So last lap around they did a high 1 minute 18, 1 minute 18.8. So we'll have a look this time around, because it looked as though Pinero was behind him for quite some time. 1.5 seconds was the gap last time they crossed the line.
It's going to be more than that.
But Jack Clark comes across the line to start his penultimate lap. And there you can see L2, P1. And he's going to be a very happy man. It's now 2.4 seconds, so Ramon lost a whole second behind Plamin Kralev. And to be fair, I don't think he was probably close enough to do anything about Jack Clark particularly. You can see there, comparing his best and last lap times. I don't think he was close enough to do anything about it particularly, but I think he'll still be a little bit frustrated. It's going to take the pressure off Jack Clark, although I imagine he's probably still feeling quite a large amount of pressure in the cockpit right now, because when you know you're on the verge of your first ever Formula 2 win, he's picked up a couple of wins in Formula Palmer Audi in 2007 and 2008, but you know, Formula 2 is an international series, and it travels all over Europe, and of course the winner of the championship picks up a Formula 1 test drive with the Williams team, so it's a big deal to win this race for Jack Clark, and it's going to be
very interesting to see. He should be able to keep it all together. That third place battle looks like it's quietened down just a little bit. The battle for 10th still hasn't. They are Mikkel Mack and Jose Luis Abedin still going at it, hammer and tongs, as they make their way up the hill towards Druids. Ramon Pinero exits then, and he goes across the line. Jack Clark starting his final lap then. The 23-year-old, and oh, we've got a collision. Sliding off has gone Mikkel Mack. Well, I think you saw that, didn't you, Jonathan?
Yeah, I just caught the beginning of that and obviously the end as well. But yeah, he just he got a better run out of Druids and went for a move that wasn't really on, to be honest. I think it was pretty heavily defended by Mikkel Mack, and there was no real room for Abedin, and a bit of a stupid error, really, I think.
Well, hopefully we might get a replay of that at some point, but we have got this third place battle making its way into Surtees for the final time. There is Mikkel Mack with his broken, even more broken front nose cone after he got proper airborne, actually, and slid across the circuit. So hopefully that was captured somewhere. Here we go then. Yeah. It's Mack. Oh, he gets out of shape, so oh, that's a difficult. It looked as though the gap was there. Did get airborne. It looked as though the gap was there, but that left-hand kink kind of ruined it for him a little bit.
Yeah, it was always going to be a bit tight, and he would have known that. And in my opinion, a bit of a stupid error, especially when they were having such a good scrap anyway. I mean, it's a bit of a shame to end it like that, isn't it?
But into clearways for the final time comes Jack Clark. That's Ramon Pinero behind, but the checker flag is out, and Jack Clark takes the checker flag and his first win in the FIA Formula 2 Championship at his home circuit here at Brands Hatch. He is going to be delighted. Second place for Ramon Pinero. Who is going to be third? It's going to be Hagevold ahead of Monras, ahead of Bortolotti. And sixth place should, in theory, be Christopher Zanella. But Jack Clark, what a fantastic result for him. He is going to be a very happy man. Here comes Zanella across the line, ahead of Max Snegerev only just. But there is Jack Clark. And I'm looking forward to hearing from him after the race, because he is going to be overjoyed, I would predict. Ramon Pinero also. The cars in position, and this 28-lap race is about to get underway. Then the lights come on here at Brands Hatch, and we're away. It's another good reaction start from Jack Clark. He's going through the middle, but there's not enough room, so he dives to the inside line and has to back out of it because he nearly clouts the wall. Ramon Pinero goes around the outside of Bortolotti into the lead. Up into third place then is Mickey Monras. Fourth is Alex Brundle as they dive up towards Druids for the first time. Jack Clark still in third place, almost pulled off an exact repeat, but the two front row men are having none of that. Brundle challenging Mickey Monras on the run down into the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, but it's Ramon Pinero who has taken the lead. We're all safely through Graham Hill Bend this time around, along the Cooper Straight. This is Hagevold challenging Brundle into the left-hander at Surtees before they climb the hill and head out into the wooded section of this circuit. Is anyone going to be using their boost button to try and make up any positions? We'll wait and see when we get a shot of a little further towards the front. We've gone side by side. This is Hagevold and Marinescu. So Marinescu has got past Hagevold then. Hagevold probably compromised as he tried to make his move on Alex Brundle. Through now Hawthorne Bend and down towards Dingle, down now the dip up towards Sheen Curve that we were talking about earlier on today. And it's Ramon Pinero who leads this race. Then Bortolotti in second, Clark in third, Mickey Monras in fourth. It's going to be fairly single file as Ramon Pinero bursts back out into the Indy section here at Brands Hatch, and he is comfortably leading from Mirko Bortolotti. That's Aman Ibrahim then a little bit further down in the order, but across the line they come, and here comes Jack Clark. Is he having a look at Mirko Bortolotti? He's putting him under pressure into Paddock Hill Bend. He's not close enough this time around, but he is right in the slipstream of the Italian, the man from Trentino, having to go very defensive into Paddock Hill Bend, but Jack Clark nearly making an identical start to yesterday.
Yeah, and breathe. And I think Ramon and Bortolotti were very wise to how good Jack's starts have been, and Ramon particularly really closed it off and made sure it wasn't going to happen. Oh. And is that Alex Brundle? Yeah, Alex Brundle going wide through Paddock, very wide.
Someone else as well. Someone else was heading off. Is that Jordan King? Yeah. I think has taken to the gravel as well. Have they both got out? I'm looking out the window, and it looks like they have. I don't think that is King, actually. That looks like it's Snooks, yeah. So Alex Brundle, well, his second time through Paddock Hill Bend, pretty much his second time through Paddock Hill Bend at Racing Speed this weekend. And he has put it in the gravel, unfortunately. We'll let you know where he comes through. He was fifth at the end of the first lap. But this battle, Jack Clark is a man with a mission, isn't he? Right up behind Mirko Bortolotti as they head down towards clearways. Ramon Pinero in the highlighter pen is comfortably in front, but is Jack Clark going to be using his boost as they make their way out of clearways through Clark Curve now?
And across the start-finish line, this is the battle for second position. It's Pinero, Bortolotti, Clark, Monras, Brundle. Oh, sorry, not Brundle. 5th place now is... well, the timing screens haven't updated yet. Here we go. Marinescu 5th, Hegerwold 6th, Aman Ibrahim 7th. Zanella is up into 8th place. 9th is Max Snegerev, and 10th is Timo Storz.
And this is what confidence does to a driver. I mean, Jack is all over the back of Mirko Bortolotti, and we haven't seen that at all this year so far. So that's really where. And who's that going?
Brundle again?
Please no.
I'm pretty sure.
It looked like it, didn't it?
Yeah.
And what a fantastic couple of laps from Ramon Pinero on cold tyres, or as warm as he possibly could make them. But fantastic opening laps from him, and pulled out nearly a 2-second lead with only 2 laps gone.
There's Alex Brundle coming past our vision into Surtees, so I can only assume he's so far back down the order, some 9 seconds behind Sung Hak Mun, that was him taking a trip through the gravel. Kelvin Schnucks, after his trip through the gravel, is just coming out of the pit lane, I can tell you. But this is Miki Monras in the silver lining car, running in 4th place, behind Jack Clark in 3rd. Now, has Mirko bought himself a bit of an advantage? He has, and as a result, it's Jack Clark coming under the most pressure. Tobias Hegerwold running in 6th place behind Mihai Marinescu onto the Brabham Straight. He's fairly close as they make their way in towards turn 1, and here comes the look up the inside from Hegerwold. Marinescu closes the door. Hegerwold looked like he was close enough, but Mihai saw that coming, and as a result got over. Hegerwold another little look up the inside into Druids, a little lock up from the right front. That won't do him too much harm because it wasn't a particularly major lock up. But Hegerwold is looking racy. He wants to get past, and this is the battle towards the lower end of the field. There is Christopher Zanella, because he was 8th at one point, so he must have lost out to Max Snegerev somewhere around this circuit, and he is fairly close up behind as they make their way down Pilgrim's Drop.
And that experience that Snegerev has taken from doing the British Formula 3 race earlier in the year is really paying dividends. I think this is probably his best weekend so far, pace-wise, and I mean, put it in perspective, he's holding off the guy that is second in the championship here, so cracking effort from Max Snegerev this weekend.
Yeah, definitely, and that shows you that the man who is currently 16th in the championship is not coming under much pressure from the man who is 2nd in the championship. Zanella having only raced here on the Indy circuit, but as we say, Snegerev, with the circuit experience, is able to perform a lot stronger. Bortolotti has raced here before.
And what's happened to Monras?
We're seeing a replay here of Timo Storz going backwards into the barrier. So where is Miki Monras? That's a very good point. So Storz is out of the race, we can see there, unfortunately. He went off the circuit at Druids yesterday, and that ended his race. But have we seen Monras come?
I haven't seen him come in the pits, so he must still be out on the circuit somewhere.
So 4th place man Miki Monras is missing in action. Has he come through the timing screens? Has he come through in 13th, or is he? Yeah, there he is.
He's still running. Actually, we've just seen him out of the commentary box. So quite what's happened there. We'll have to try and find out, see whether we can have a replay on that. But that moves Mihai Marinescu up to 4th, which is probably going to be his best result of the year so far, and Hedgeford up into 5th.
So Miki Monras, 3rd place position in the championship, was sitting in 4th position as he has been so often this season. He is now down in where did we say in the end? 13th place, wasn't it? Yes, behind James Cole. James Cole, who's having another good race. He's struggled with qualifying. Yesterday he went from 16th to 8th, and today he's managed to go from 17th to 12th so far. So he's getting the race pace there or thereabouts, progressing up through the order. And of course today he hasn't been helped by 4 cars taking each other out in front of him.
I think that would indicate that he needs to improve on his new tyre run in qualifying, because clearly he's having no problem getting past a few cars in the race. Of course, a couple of them have fallen off anyway, but you know, he's clearly got better pace during the race.
James Cole spent a lot of time earlier today with the Comma guests, because he's racing in the Comma Oils car, who are the Formula 2 technical partner, I think is the exact phrase. So James Cole taking plenty of pictures. That man, Miki Monras, is behind James Cole now, quite a way behind. And Miki Monras, a guy who's been given the Silver Lining livery this weekend, the Silver Lining car. Ramon Pinero has extended his lead to 3 seconds at the front of the 10th round of the 2011 FIA Formula 2 Championship. The man from Barcelona
in his striking new livery, which really has worked for him this weekend. He's about to come across the line out of Clark Corner to begin his penultimate lap here at Brands Hatch. He said before the weekend this is where he wanted to get his season back on track. He was struggling in FPA, Formula Palmer Audi, before he came to this circuit, and the same appears to be true this year. It's been a very mature weekend for Ramon. I think that's probably the biggest thing, because he's qualified well in the past, but during the races he's just got a bit impetuous and gone, oh, I can go for this gap, I can go for this gap, and then, you know, spun off. Whereas this has been a very mature, a very precise weekend for the young Spaniard.
Yeah, you're right. I think he's had the pace all season long so far, but he hasn't been able to convert it into a race win or actually fantastic race results generally, because he's just been too fired up, in my opinion, particularly on first lap incidents, really. And I think he went away after Spa and Nurburgring, tried to calm down, and he's really channeled that aggression into results. And this is the result, really. So you know, he's still plugging away, still low 18s lap times, but he's got it under control. Much more mature performance from him this weekend.
Absolutely. Bortolotti still will take a fairly large chunk of points away from this race if he finishes in second place. Jack Clark, another man who this weekend is going to do the world of good, as we then head off to the A1 ring next. Ramon Pinero starting his final lap, and Bortolotti starting his too behind him. And Ramon really is he's a very likeable young man, isn't he? I think that's one of his kind of most positive points. You get some racing drivers who are very, you know, involved in themselves, but Ramon is one of the nicest guys you'll meet, racing driver or not.
Yeah, you're right. And also, interestingly, he normally brings a real entourage of people with physiotherapists and PR gurus and all this sort of people, but this weekend he's come with none of them and performed much better, so maybe he needs to ditch those, I think.
And he's got Martin Donnelly here this weekend, who, I don't know if he's technically his manager, but he kind of looks after Ramon's racing interests. Mickey Monras is about to overtake Jordan King into Paddock Hill Bend, but he's about to have a go anyway. But Ramon Pinero is making his way into the right-hander out the back of the circuit at Hawthorns. He did get past, didn't he, Mickey Monras, around the outside of Jordan King, so that was the move for 9th position. But Ramon Pinero makes his way down into Stirling's for the final time. I don't think you are going to see a happier race winner in Formula 2 this season. He also becomes our second race winner of the weekend. Ramon Pinero turns into clearways. He made an excellent start, took the lead around the outside at Paddock Hill Bend, and now he's seeing the checker flag. Ramon Pinero wins for the first time in FIA Formula 2. It's been a weekend of first wins, because Jack Clark comes home in third place, yesterday's winner. Bortolotti, who's always seems to be winning, finishes in second place. Very happy mechanic and engineer on the pit wall for Ramon. It's quite a long wait before Mihai Marinescu comes home in fourth place. Very long way, actually. Here he comes now, so he'll be quite pleased with that. I think is that his best result of the season. It equals his best result, didn't we? I said that earlier at Silverstone, but some 21 seconds off the lead. Hagevold unable to make it past. 6th and 7th, Aman Ibrahim will be very pleased to have held on ahead, but there is Ramon Pinero, a very, very happy young man, and he takes the victory here in Brands Hatch, and a delighted young man. There's nothing I can say. I'm delighted for him. The lights go out very, very quickly indeed. It's a good start from Pinero, and it looks like he's going to hold the lead, but Zanella's got an excellent start, darting across to try and block Mihai Marinescu. Pinero leads comfortably into the first corner. Zanella holds in third place, and we've got a couple of collisions at the back. Is that Johannes Theobald rolling, I think, for the second time this season? So that has also involved Rene Binder. But up at the front, Zanella is going side by side with Mirko Bortolotti on the run-up towards the second corner. Bortolotti on the inside holds the position. Marinescu trying to follow through. It's Brundle then following in fifth place. A few of them going out wide as they all try and find their way through the second corner. Down towards Schlossgold now, the third corner on the circuit, and this has worked well for Ramon Pinero, but Bortolotti's right up behind him. Zanella's dropped back a long way because of that running wide, but well, a frantic first few corners, which is what we expected, really.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Johannes is out the car out there, but that was quite a violent manoeuvre from him. It looked like he might have even gone over, I'm not quite sure, but I'm surprised there's no safety car, because I would have thought he'd be aching from that.
No, it certainly looked as though he went over, didn't it? But we'll try and get a replay of that, I've no doubt. There's Jack Clark then up behind Timo Stort. We'll
We'll give you the full run down of the order when they come through for the first time. James Cole right up behind Partiva Suresh-Warren, but Ramon Pinero managed to survive that opening lap. Mikkel Mack is going up the inside of Luciano Becchetta, going into the final corner. Not quite close enough to make it through, but that's a decent start from Mikkel Mack. I think he started 8th on the grid, and now he's in the slipstream of Becchetta. They come across the line. You can see the standings at the bottom of the screen there. But Mikkel Mack has got past, but Becchetta's now got the inside line. Mack makes it stick around the outside and collects Mickey Monras. Too late on the brakes from Mikkel Mack, and Mickey Monras, third place man in the championship, is sent spinning. He says, what on earth was that about? And I fear these cars do have starter motors in them, but it looked like he's probably got quite a bit of rear end damage, and now Becchetta's coming under pressure from Kelvin Snooks and Jack Clark on the run up into the right-hander, and they hold that position. That's Julian Theobald. I apologise.
This is exactly what we expected, isn't it, Jack? They're just going crazy in the braking zones, really careless there on the first turn, and poor old Mickey Monras, who would love to try and get a bit higher up in this championship, has got no hope now.
So look at the black and gold car. You've got Jack Clark, and then you've got another black car behind. Let's see if we can figure out what happens. He darts to the right-hand side, and he hits Jack Clark, and over he goes. And René Binder getting a little bit of a clip as well, so I'm surprised Jack Clark's still going, because that was a fairly hefty impact. But Johannes, well, the second time this season that he's been over, there you can see him upside down, and happily he's walked away, but he's certainly showing that these F2 cars are pretty safe.
He is our crash tester at the moment, that's right.
So there's Alex Brundle. He has now moved up into 4th position. He's gained a place, obviously, after the demise of Mickey Monras. There's Zanella then, who is down in 5th place. So we've got Pinero out in front, Mirko Bortolotti in 2nd, 1.2 seconds behind. Then we've got Marinescu running in 3rd place, still only waved yellows at the top of the first corner. So it's good to see that this race is continuing. Then our man Alex Brundle there in 4th place. And this is going to be the interesting thing. Can Ramon Pinero begin to pull away? Because Bortolotti was saying he had a lot of traffic in his qualifying lap, had to overtake 3 cars on his hot lap. Then we've got Hegerbold, and we're going to get another view of it here. And
oh, that was really unfortunate. That was just a small touch on the wheels, and it just sent him flying.
Yeah, that was. It wasn't even, you know, because when he went over at Nurburgring, it was kind of a late lunge and wheel-to-wheel contact, and that's the kind of thing you expect. But that was all about strange angles, that one. So Alex Brundle up into 4th position then. And this really is bad news for Mickey Monras, because I presume he's going to be out of the race. It doesn't look like he's come through. And, well, no, actually, we saw the yellow flags up there, didn't we? So that's really going to hurt his championship, especially with Ramon on a charge.
Ramon can't actually get ahead of him, but Monras was definitely still sat at that first corner, so he is out of this one.
And so it really is ebbing and flowing between these two. As James said earlier, that is the nature of racing, but Brundle is going to be very, very frustrated, because he's been staring at the back of Marinescu's car since the early stages of this race. I think Brundle will be happy just to get back in the points though, because he's had 3 non-finishes this year, which is, I believe, more than any other driver. Plamen Kralev has had 3 as well, but I think that's it. I think those two are leading the non-finish race as they come down into Schloss Gold. And it's going to be, he's going to need to get a mega run out of one of the corners, either the final corner or turn 1 or turn 2. To make a move. And Marinescu, as we've said earlier, we've seen him make errors when he's being followed or when he's up under pressure so far this season, but none today so far.
He seems to have this under control. An interesting point will be how many of their boosts that these drivers have left, of course, because if Brundle's got 5 and Mihai's used them all up, then he could quite possibly make a move just by getting a fantastic run.
That's very true as well, as they come over the crest of the hill, down into Rindt corner, 105 miles an hour in 4th gear on the apex, then drop it down another gear for the 82 mile an hour Red Bull Mobile corner, flick it up to 4th gear just before the tarmac changes colour. As Ramon Pinero, he's been absolutely dominant. Number 3's got a warning now, which is Aman Ibrahim. He's getting a warning for track limits. Has Zanella been through the pits? It doesn't seem so yet. We'll keep an eye on that one as well, but a very, very commanding performance from Ramon Pinero. He's going to be looking in his mirrors and thinking, where has Mirko gone? Why didn't he turn up? Christopher Zanella takes his drive-through penalty, and where will he emerge? I think we'll have to wait and see next time around, because the screens say 9th, but of course the timing screen will be in the pit lane, so we won't really find out until the next time they come across the start-finish line. But here is Marinescu and Brundle, They are fairly close together now. I think Brundle was contemplating a look down into Schlossgold that time, and a little dart to the inside now. He's starting to put Mihai under a little bit of pressure, but has that compromised his run through Audi? Not too bad. Puff of black smoke from the back of the car as he shifts up.
He's playing mind games now. He's just showing his nose to see if Mihai is going to make a mistake. There's no telling what's going to happen, but Mihai does look quite comfortable. Neither of them are sliding around too much, so they've clearly got some rubber left, and it's going to get rather interesting.
Brundle's car looks quite stiff. He seems to bounce around in the cockpit a lot more than Mihai, but into the final corner now. If Brundle can stick a good run through here, he may be close enough to pick up a slipstream. We cut away as they come past the pit lane there. You just saw them, actually. And he's not quite close enough this time, but he'll get on the brakes as late as possible from 160 miles an hour down to 70. Sling it out wide. Careful not to go all four wheels over, or you'll get a Christopher Zanella-style penalty. That promotes Jack Clark up into 5th then. Julian Theobald 6th. Luciano Becchetta on his Formula 2 debut up into 7th place. 8th for Benjamin Lariche. And is Zanella going to come through in 9th, or will that now be James Cole? It's James Cole, so James Cole up into 9th position. Has Zanella kept even in the points with that drive-through penalty? No, Plamen Kralev looks like he's on to pick up his first points of the season. Brundle pulls out on the run down into Schlossgold again, just showing his nose, and he's close enough to do that now, because before there would have been no point because he was just a little too far away. But now he is close enough to cause Mihai Marinescu a few problems. But we've only got 3 laps to go. Soon that's going to be 2 as they head through the double left-hander.
These guys are perfectly aware of the space they're in at the moment. Alex will know he's miles ahead of the guy behind, so he can have 2, 3, 4 goes if you want and not lose any position. So it's slightly lower risk than it would if you're in the pack.
Yeah, he's 11.5 seconds clear of Jack Clark, in fact, so even if he had a lunge into the very final corner of the race, spun it, he'd probably still have time to get back into that 4th position, which he currently holds. But our race leader, Ramon Pinero, is on to the penultimate lap of the race now. But we're watching this battle for 3rd place, which looks like it's going to go down to the wire. Brundle under braking for the first corner, 71 miles an hour, and then heading out down this. It's a long, long drag up to the right-hander at the top of the hill. It took probably 40 or 50 seconds in our Clio Estate hire car, so it really is quite a long drag. Very late on the brakes from Brundle. This is going to be interesting because he's very, very good coming out of this corner, and then on the run down into Schlossgold is where he is usually closest. And is that going to be the case this time around? He is in the slipstream. It's not close enough, though. It's going to be very, very frustrating for him because he'll know he's quicker, and he'll know that he should really be able to get past. There's definitely a chance, and we've got, that's our new man, René Binder, has pulled off on the inside, so that means that that's not an overtaking opportunity anyway, so that shouldn't cause them too many problems. But that's a shame for René Binder, who was running in... well, he didn't come through on that last lap, actually, but he was running in the early teens. But this battle continuing, and well, it's a real challenge for Brundle, this.
I think we're either going to see Mihai on the podium here,
or Alex.
Or Jack Clark, actually. I think either Mihai's going to keep this, or they're going to crash with each other.
Onto the final lap then comes our race leader Ramon Pinero, his Sunghak Mun and Aman Ibrahim. These two have been busy all day, and Mun trying the outside, now trying to get the cutback. We don't see if that comes off because Ramon Pinero is on his final lap. It's been a very, very quiet race for the Spaniard. Once he's got in front, he has absolutely dominated. There's no question about that, really. Bortolotti some 7.2 seconds behind as they started the final lap. Ramon just needs to cruise around this 4.3 kilometer circuit one more time in order to take victory, and this win will move him up into 4th position at the championship at the expense of, well, they'll jump past Jack Clark, Tobias Hegerwald and Will Bratt with this victory.
Not far behind Monras as well with that, with him not scoring.
No, that's very true as well, so because Ramon Pinero will be on 97 points and Mickey Monras is only on 108, so Ramon really is starting to make a name for himself. He's just starting to get to grips with the Formula 2 car halfway through this season, and he is starting to bring himself into contention for the top 3 in the championship. He got away at the start, had to defend a little bit into the first corner, but nothing too drastic, and as a result Ramon Pinero has subsequently dominated the first race of the day here at the first race of the weekend, I should say, here at the Red Bull Ring. James Gornall heads out now to talk to the drivers down in the pit lane. It's 2nd place for Mirko Bortolotti. 3rd is going to go to Mihai Marinescu. Only 0.4 of a second between them as they cross the line, but I think we're going to see a
pretty happy Romanian down there. There is Ramon's team, very, very pleased indeed.
The second race at the Red Bull Ring, and more troubles in qualifying for Mirko Bortolotti, who got another penalty. He'll start in third position on the grid. He qualified second. Ramon Pinero on pole ahead of Mihai Marinescu and then Bortolotti.
We're away. Jack Clark had a little bit of a jump start potentially, but anyway, up at the front, Ramon's got a great start and he's looking towards the inside line. Is he going to take the lead away from Christopher Zanella? Mihai Marinescu is up into third place, past Bortolotti. No, Bortolotti holds it around the outside. Aman Ibrahim spins in the midfield and collects Jack Clark, who loses his front wing. Everyone else sneaks through okay by the looks of things, but Zanella is still coming under pressure from Ramon Pinero. Up the hill towards turn 2. Is Ramon going to break early and try and get the cut back? We'll have to wait and see. Through the corner they come. Snegerev is up to fourth. Zanella goes wide. Ramon Pinero takes the lead. Bortolotti's in there as well. We've got a spinner at the back. That's Mickey Monras is facing the wrong way. So the man to watch, according to James Gornall, is out at turn 2. But now it's side by side between Bortolotti and Zanella, and Bortolotti's through. So a disastrous couple of corners for Christopher Zanella. He went in too deep on the brakes, and then he's going to be under pressure from Mihai Marinescu. There we've got Bacchetta battling with fellow newcomer Rene Binder. But what happened to Mickey Monras up there at turn 2? Here's a replay of the start. I think we're just going to see, oh, someone gets out of shape. It's Ibrahim just gets out of shape on the brakes. Jack Clark has nowhere to go and clouts into him, really.
That was almost as if Armand forgot to brake. He went very tight to go for a gap, and then it looked like maybe on a downshift the rear wheel snatched, so not a particularly good idea from him there.
And what? Monras just lost it himself.
On his own. That's unbelievable. He's a very, very good driver, Mickey. I'd expect him not to do that.
Well, so that's not good news for Miki Monras. No contact at all with anyone up there at turn 2. But as they come across the line at the end of the first lap, the tractor gets in our way as he goes to collect the stricken car of Aman Ibrahim. So we've got waved yellows up there. It's Ramon Pinero leading, Bortolotti second, Zanella third, then Marinescu fourth, Snegerev fifth, Benjamin Lariche has snuck his way up into 6th place. Tobias Hakevold, the big loser really, down in 8th position after starting in 5th place, and now he could be coming under pressure from someone behind him. It's another puncture for Alex Brundle. He picked up one in the first race of the season, but that rear left is going to need a change, and so I fear he may have been involved in contact really to pick up a puncture like that. As they head down towards the Schlossgold corner once again, Snegerev and Lariche, you can see they're running. Snegerev in the silver car with the red stripes, Lariche behind in the white machine with the French colours emblazoned all over it. The man in the car that's sponsored by Quick. Ramon Pinero out in front once more, and Jack Clark into the pit. So I said maybe Clark and Brundle would try and work their way up the order together, but unfortunately they've just ended up in the pit lane together.
I think we were both wrong today, and Jack Clark also had a puncture on the rear left there, as well as losing his front wing. Max Snegerev, actually, he's doing a fantastic job. He's managed to stay in a good position. He's in 5th. This could be by far his best finish.
Luciano Bacchetta's made a good start. He's up to 10th place and is right up with Johannes Theobald. Snegerev very, very slidey coming out of Rindt, but I think Bacchetta might be having a look at Johannes Theobald before too long. Maybe we'll pick that up in a minute, but Calvin Snooks climbs the hill up towards turn 1. Ramon Pinero has a 1.2 second advantage. Is Zanella and Marinescu. Marinescu on the outside in the challenge for 3rd place. Doesn't make the move stick, but he was obviously right up alongside Christopher Zanella, and now he's going to be close and in the slipstream on the run down into Schlossgold. Again, Zanella looks to the inside line, so Marinescu's going to be hard pushed to get around the outside, but he's got a great run and he makes the move stick. Zanella takes a wide line into Schlossgold. Is that going to give him a good exit and have a look into the Audi corner? He's tucked right underneath, but Marinescu at the moment has moved up into 3rd position. A great scrap here into Audi Ultra. These cars, of course, powered by Audi engines, as they now make their way down into Lauda.
That was beautiful driving from Mihai. He put his car exactly where it needed to be to make sure that Christopher could not defend that position.
Well, Christopher Zanella, coming into this weekend, had never finished lower than he had qualified, but both races today, he is, yesterday's race, he finished lower than he qualified, and today it's looking like he's going to finish lower than he qualifies as well if the race was to end now. But I think the feisty youngster from Switzerland might have something to say about it. We've got side by side behind. Is that Snegerev finally coming under pressure from Kelvin Schnooks? It is. Schnooks on the outside, on the run up in towards Castrol Edge. He's gone around the outside again. Now keep it on the circuit, Kelvin. That's okay.
that is absolutely fine, that manoeuvre, but I get the feeling he may still be in trouble for the previous one. Battle for third isn't over yet because Zanella throws it to the outside line, super late on the brakes. The back end gets all out of shape, but he can't make the move stick just yet. Great racing.
Mihai had that completely under control. I think that Snooks is actually pushing his luck. That's twice he's gone around the outside. If he tries it one more time with someone a little harder, he might find himself going off into the barrier.
Absolutely. So that third place battle continues, and then up into fifth is Snooks, sixth is Snegerev, and seventh is Tobias Hagevold. So we didn't see it, I don't think, but he has now got past Benjamin Lariche, as this four-car train for fifth position is starting to be reeled in by Julian Theobald as well. Julian, who had a very, very strong race yesterday, because coming into the weekend, his best race result had been 15th, but yesterday he managed to pick up a 6th place, so it really seems to suit this circuit, his driving style.
He was quite pleased at Spa, actually, with his qualifying result, and he was quite buoyant after that. Unfortunately, of course, he went off, so I think we'll see sporadic moments of brilliance from Julian.
Hagevold is pushing very hard, a fantastic slide on the exit of Rindt, but has compromised his run through the final corner just a little bit, and now as a result is quite close enough to Max Snegerev to do anything about it, but he might be close enough to pick up a slipstream as they come up this long, long run up towards the Remus hairpin, hitting 160 miles an hour by the time they get into the braking zone. So this is proper quick stuff in these Formula 2 cars. And Snooks isn't breaking away. The speed with which he caught up and passed the people behind, you'd think he might begin to pull away a little bit quicker than he is. And we've got Alex Brundle back in the pits. He's obviously had a changed front nose. What's up now? He talks to his mechanic. Hopefully Ramon will make it through these final 7 laps.
Beginner's luck, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. He's still got that 2.5 second advantage over Mirko, who... and here comes Hagevold again, pushed onto the grass on the inside on the run up to turn 2. He's gone for exactly the same move again, but Bachetta is now with Mikkel Mack. Snegerev goes wide, and surely Hagevold takes that position. Yes, he does. So that late manoeuvre up the inside, although it was a bit bandity, it put Snegerev off, which sent him a little bit wide. Here's the replay, and he was almost alongside, but very close to being on the grass as well.
Yeah, Max was giving no quarter there. He tried to move out to give him some space, but jinked him at the last second, and it was just too tight. You're never going to get round there, and it was obvious as soon as they entered the corner that Tobias was going to take that.
Absolutely. So Hagevold moves into 6th position. Behind it all looked like it was getting pretty exciting as well, so maybe we'll cut back to that unless Snegerev can continue with the battle. Mikkel Mack is past Luciano Bachetta now as they cross the line. Mickey Monras is past Julian Theobald as well, so we've had 2 changes of position. Mikkel Mack up to 9th, Bachetta down to 10th, Monras up to 11th, Julian Theobald down to 12th. But Ramon Pinero still out there in the lead of this race. Car 8 now getting a warning flag, which is Plamen Kralev going off the circuit at turns 1 and turns 8. He was in trouble for that in first qualifying. Here's Sung Hak Mun now battling with Johannes Theobald. This is a good drive from Sung Hak Mun. Theobald's going to get the cutback though, and they're going to go side by side up towards turn 2. Hasn't quite got enough of an overlap, and it's going to be very, very interesting. He'll tuck back into the slipstream now, just get a little more burst of slipstream, and then late on the brakes from Theobald. Is he going to make it through? Yes, he is. So he holds on to that 16th position, which is, I think, he'll be a little bit disappointed. Oh, Sung Hak Mun getting overtaken there by Parthiva Sureshwaran. Fastest lap of the race from Mirko Bortolotti, 1 minute 22.566, 1.6 seconds now, but they're on the penultimate lap of the race, which has been a very entertaining race, I have to say. We've still got battles to be settled, though. Benjamin Lariche and Mikkel Mack and Luciano Bachetta and Mickey Monras. Both of those battles are within a second of one another. As we see Mihai Marinescu all alone in 3rd place, so it's only 8th and 10th positions still to be settled. There you can see how far back Zanella has fallen as he heads down the hill once more for the penultimate time down towards the Schloss Gold corner. It's been a pretty decent debut for the Formula 2 cars around this Red Bull Ring. I think we've been impressed with everything we've seen here. The facilities, the circuit itself has provided great racing, so
and the landscape is fantastic. It's just been a brilliant weekend, really, and a very successful weekend for the Formula 2 cars. Marinescu still sliding a little bit. Here comes Mikkel Mack and Benjamin Lariche. We were talking about it a moment ago. Battle for 8th place and behind Monras and Bacchetta. So on this penultimate lap, we've still got 2 battles to run their course. And Monras will be desperate because this is all over a point, but a point is better than not a point. If that's possibly the wisest thing I've ever said. Another fastest lap of the race from Mirko Bortolotti. They're on their final tour of this 4.3-kilometre circuit now. But we are looking at the battle for 8th place. Benjamin Lariche heading down the hill towards Rint once more. 105 miles an hour on the apex. Probably a little bit slower now they've got their race fuel. But here's Ramon Pinero, our race leader, climbing the hill out of turn 2, the Remus hairpin. Then heading up to 160 miles an hour on the run down into Schlossgold. Still with a 1.5 second advantage over Mirko Bortolotti. Into the right-hander they come. And it's the two drivers that have emerged as the dominant force in this closing stage of the season, with Zanella and Miki Monras both showing flashes of early promise, but these two really in the last few races have consistently been up at the front. We've got 3 retirements so far today. Aman Ibrahim, 4 I think actually. Aman Ibrahim, Jack Clark, Alex Brundle and Sunghak Mun, and James Cole. I'm not sure if James Cole came back out after we saw him in the brakes with a hot rear wheel, but Ramon Pinero comes out of the final corner for the final time. It's going to be a perfect weekend for Ramon. 2 wins, and he's won 3 of the last 3 races. He takes the checkered flag here at the Red Bull Ring. Mirko Bortolotti finishes in 2nd place, setting the fastest lap of the race on that final lap. Fantastic performance from Bortolotti to pick up another 2nd. Mihai Marinescu comes home in 3rd place. And we're away. It is a good getaway from Brundle. Mihai Marinescu's got a decent one. Bortolotti's got a terrible start. Zanella's passed him. Hagevold is heading up the inside as well as they head down into the first chicane. Brundle's on the inside line, almost touching wheels as they come under braking. And Alex Brundle moves into the lead. Mihai Marinescu slots into 2nd. 3rd place, who is that launching up the inside? Is that Zanella possibly, as they all creep their way through? Or is that Bortolotti? Somehow he recovered because he got a poor start. A few slower cars at the back, but no major incidents. Now Zanella is battling Hagevold, so I'd love to see how that transpired, because Bortolotti got a very slow getaway. It's not over for the lead. Brundle just about holding it. Here's Bortolotti going very defensive, so he's now ahead of Hagevold. Are they all going to get through the 2nd chicane cleanly? Yes, they are. Jack Clark making a move on Mikkel Mack as Sunghak Mun goes over the runoff. But good start from Brundle, but he's going to be under pressure from Marinescu.
Yeah, absolutely right. Heading down towards Lesmo 2 here, he's going to be under a lot of pressure from Mihai now. He's going to have to get the best exit he's ever got out of Lesmo 2 right now. And it doesn't look too bad, actually. I think he's got a reasonable exit there. And I think with Bortolotti, he must have made a lot of time on the brakes when other people might have been a little bit cautious to gain those places back.
Yes, indeed. So into the Ascari chicane they turn. And Marinescu is not letting Brundle get away with this one just yet. All the top front runners are safely through Ascari. Bortolotti might be challenging Ramon Pinero on the run down into Parabolica potentially, as we wait to see them. Here they come down this long stretch. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to walk from Ascari down to Parabolica. Such is the length of the straight. But at 180 miles an hour, it doesn't feel that far at all. There's Mikkel Mack battling with Miki Monras. And just up ahead of them, it's Jack Clark behind Timo Storz. Who's that in the gravel? Is that Schnooks possibly? We'll wait and see when he recovers onto the circuit. And but it's side by side for the lead, and Marinescu has got back past Brundle. Brundle looks to the outside on the way down into the first chicane, but Mihai Marinescu lost the lead at the start of the race, and Bortolotti is up into 3rd place. Is he? No, he's had to go over the anti-cut, so he'll have to give that position back. It's side by side between Zanella and Hagevold as well. So Marinescu back in the lead, but they tuck right in through Curva Grande. There's Bortolotti giving the position back to Ramon.
Yeah, I think he had to do that. Obviously, as you said, you can't cut the chicane and gain a place there. But these two really have seemed to have broken away because of that little incident between the two, Bortolotti and Pinero there at the first chicane. And that's exactly what they need to do. To be honest, they need to work together right now and give themselves a little bit of tone, not too much passing right now, and then they give themselves the best chance of having being in a position to win later on in the race.
Into the second Lesmo corner they come. This is not good news for Christopher Zanella. there's Timo Storz, who's running strongly, up in 7th position, behind Christopher Zanella, as Snegrev gets very wide on the exit of the second Lesmo, keeps it all together though. But these two leaders, as you say, Jonathan, absolutely together as they cross the line. There was a 1/10.5 of a second between them. It looks as though Marinescu's bridged the gap a little bit through Ascari. Then, so we've got 3 pairs of 2 really up at the front. Then it's Timo Storz running around. That is Kelvin Schnooks, isn't it, going into the gravel? We definitely saw a spin for Max Snegrev, I think, in the background there at Ascari. So there's Schnooks in the gravel trap. Out come the wave yellows. We'll keep an eye on what happened to Snegrev. I'm pretty sure I saw him backwards down at Ascari.
Quite how Snooks stayed out of the barrier down there, I have no idea. Did a fantastic job to get back on.
Marinescu starting to pull away. The battle for 3rd position is the one to watch as they roar past our commentary box. Bortolotti tucked right out behind Ramon Pinero. And is he going to be able to make a move? Not close enough this time around. Of course, with the lower downforce package, it means you're going to be travelling faster and have less stopping power when you get there. So braking zones are going to be longer. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, the whole car is moving around a lot on the brakes as we see he got
Snegrev,
hit.
But yeah,
Julian Theobald, but nothing doing just yet. It's going to be a fascinating battle. Of course, you don't want to lose your boosts up too quickly. Ramon Pinero decides it's okay to go back to the racing line. Is that a mistake? Because Bortolotti's up the inside, and Bortolotti is passed. Great tow down the back straight into the Parabolica. And what has Ramon got in response? He's going to be in the perfect position to counter-attack. He'll lose a bit of downforce through the Parabolica. And is he going to be close enough?
Yeah, ideally you don't want to be too close to the car in front because you do start to lose that downforce from being so close. But I think Bortolotti's just got a good enough exit out of the Parabolica to keep Pinero at bay. Quite often, actually, if you pass on that straight after Ascari, you can quite easily be passed back down that main straight. But I think Bortolotti's clearly got that covered, and he's got the pace. He's got a few tenths over Pinero, and I think over Brundle. So let's see how long it will take for him to catch Brundle if he can.
Bortolotti was very frustrated actually after qualifying. I was down in Parc Ferme and he came straight up to me and Tom Phillips and was like, oh, I could have gone faster, but I had yellow flags on my hot lap. He reckoned he was about a second quicker than what he actually managed, but he had to ease off. So he's clearly got the pace around here, topped the 2 practice sessions yesterday. So I'm expecting to see some pretty nifty lap times fairly shortly from Mirko Bortolotti. Now he's got some clear air. He's got 1.9 seconds to close in on Alex Brundle, and he's already pulling away from Pinero, isn't he? Zanella and Hegerbold. Zanella will probably have seen Bortolotti get past, or have been told Bortolotti's got past. He has no choice but to attack now.
No, he's got to go. If he keeps his championship chances alive, he's got to really go for it. And you know, boost strategy comes down to that really, and you know, be trying to get in that toe as close as he possibly can, and see whether they can go after Pinero if he gets Hedgeville.
You see them all going over the white line on the exit of Ascari. That is fine. They were told by race director Dave Scott in the driver briefing on Friday morning that the 4 wheels over the white line rule, which so many of them got penalised for in Red Bull Ring, doesn't count on the exit of Ascari. It does everywhere else on the circuit, including down the start-finish straight, where Tobias Hegervold is having to defend. Well, not too defensive, actually. Zanella not quite close enough. A little semi-look towards the inside line late in the day. But Hegervold isn't really holding Zanella up. Or, well, he is, but he's not backing him into Timo Storz yet, which is what I thought might occur early on. Let's see, that last lap from Mirko Bortolotti was a 1 minute 41. I can't see it because it's off the side of the timing screen. So Bortolotti was probably quite fast on that last lap. The gap came down by 0.2 of a second. And he was still battling with Pinero, actually, wasn't he? So it's take a few laps for Bortolotti to just get used to clear air, because how quickly do you settle into a rhythm behind a car, and then you get past, and then is it difficult to kind of break that rhythm?
Well, this is what I was saying earlier. When you've got a quick car and you're a bit further back on the grid, you've got to have that momentum of trying to keep passing car after car, and it's you know, if you stop that progression, it's quite easy to be just sort of stuck in that position for quite a long time. And you know, it'd be interesting to see whether Zanella can do something about this. But you know, he does look a little racier than Hedgeville. But one of the other issues here is, like we spoke earlier, we're running on very, very low wing. And
Mihai Marinescu is leading this FIA Formula 2 race from Monza. There he is in the number 9 car, the car sponsored by Brasov in Romania. He's ahead of Alex Brundle in second place and Mirko Bortolotti in third position. If Bortolotti finishes second, he can claim the 2011 FIA Formula 2 championship and the subsequent full Williams F1 test that goes with it. But for that, he needs Zanella to finish one position lower than he is currently running. That white and red car you can see in the background, that is Christopher Zanella. And if he finishes where he is now, the championship will still be alive, but only just. Through the parabolica they come.
And on that last lap, Zanella was the only guy in the 41, so everyone else in the low 42s. So he is picking up that toe from Pinero, but is he just a little bit too far away to challenge the final 2 laps?
Well, as they start the penultimate lap then, 2 position changes need to occur for Bortolotti to take the title this afternoon. He needs to get past Brundle, and Zanella needs to lose a position to Tobias Hegerwald, who is 9 seconds behind. So I think we're going to see this continue on until tomorrow, possibly even Barcelona at the end of the year, at the end of October. Bortolotti still desperate to get past Alex Brundle. He's Brundle going very deep there. That's going to compromise him out through the Lesmos.
Yeah, and actually I think Pinero, a bit further back, was the only guy to respond and put in a 41 second 141, and you know, he really is actually catching Bortolotti, so it really is ebbing and flowing between these 4 drivers.
Massive gap back to Zanella now. Look, Zanella must have made an error or something on that last lap. When they came across the line, the gap was up to 1.2. It looks further than that to my eye. We'll see when they come across the line next time around. So unless Ramon was perhaps saving some boosts to help him, but of course when you get into the slipstream zone of one of these cars, it's going to pull you along these long straights. And there is Christopher Zanella then at the back of the pack in 5th position. Nothing he can do to get past Ramon Pinero as they turn into the parabolica for what will be the penultimate time. There's Tobias Hegerwald currently running in 6th position with Timo Storz. Strong performance from him, running in 7th place. That would be his second best finish of the season. He got a 6th place at Spa, but Mihai Marinescu starts the final lap of the race. He has led this race for a lot of it, but it's not all over for second. Mirko Bortolotti very, very close indeed, looks to the outside. Now what he's got to try and do is get a great run out of this chicane and hope he can get a great slipstream as well, down towards the second one. Through Curva Grande they come for the final time, and Bortolotti is closest than he's been most of this race to Brundle. Has a little shimmy. Who's going to go to the inside? Brundle is. Out on the outside is Bortolotti, and he takes the place. He gets a great run through Curva Grande. Can he get it stopped in time for the chicane? Yes, he can. Mirko Bortolotti moved up into 2nd position. It's not over yet, though. Brundle is going to fight this one until the death. Only about half a lap to go now through the first Lesmo corner. And has Alex Brundle got anything left to attack Mirko Bortolotti with? I said earlier, perhaps he just dropped back or something to save his tyres and go for a last-minute attack.
Well, if that was his plan, he did it absolutely brilliantly. But yeah, what he managed to do is get a good exit, obviously at turn 1, and meanwhile Alex was still trying to sort out the effects of braking pretty late to turn 1. So sort of coaxed him into that slight mistake, and I think that may be enough to have the job done there for 2nd place.
Mihai Marinescu has never won in FIA Formula 2, but that is about to change. If he can just turn his way out of the parabolica without running too wide, he is going to take victory in the first race of the weekend here at Monza. There's the checker flag, and there's Mihai Marinescu taking it. He wins. 2nd place goes the way of Mirko Bortolotti, robbing Alex Brundle on that final lap, but Brundle's first podium since Magny-Cours back in May. 4th position for Ramon Pinero. 5th place goes the way of Christopher Zanella. So the championship is still alive. And it's a very slow reaction from Mirko Bortolotti. Pinero gets a better start. Monras is up into 3rd place already. We're all off the grid, which is good news, but Pinero is up the inside of Bortolotti on the run down into turn 1. He gets a wheel on the grass. Is he going to be later on the brakes? Yes, he is. Bortolotti will have the outside, which will become the inside, but he's gone over the curbing, and the championship leader bounces over the curb. So does Alex Brundle a little bit further back, and Benjamin Lariche. So as they head through Curva Grande, it's Ramon Pinero that takes the lead. It's side by side between Timo Storz and Mikkel Mack, and they are right up behind Tobias Hegerwald. So it's Mickey Monras holding on to that 3rd place. Down to Della Roggia for the first time. Monras goes defensive.
and we've got a bit of gravel kicked up at the back. That's going to be, they all just about sneak through. I thought Hegerwald was going to be going wide over the curbs there, all through the first 2 chicanes safely. Good work, but Ramon is away in the lead.
Yeah, his initial getaway, as you said, it was much better than Mirko Bortolotti's, and then obviously kept it to the inside for the first part of the chicane, and gave Mirko absolutely no room for the left. So a good start from him, and we also saw Alex Brundle on the grass on the way into turn 1. So he did well to hang on to that, I think.
Zanella has had a shocker of a start. He's down behind Plamen Kralev. We'll have to see exactly where that is. Mikkel Mack's out of shape. He's skating across the gravel. Where's he going to come back on the circuit? He picks up a bit of air, sneaks back on at the exit of Ascari. Alex Brundle goes past him as they all exit Ascari and down towards the right-hander at Parabolica, but it's Pinero out in the lead. Storz has got past Hegerwald, then up into 4th position as well. Bachetta, therefore, is in 6th with Jack Clark in 7th place as Snegerev sends one up the inside of Snooks. Has Snooks seen him? Yes, he has. Great late move from Max Snegerev to take that position, and this is fantastic racing. There's Zanella, look, just ahead of Julian Theobald, so we'll see exactly what position that is, but it's Pinero, Bortolotti, Monrath, Storz, Hegerwald, Bachetta, Clark, Brundle, Snegerev and Snooks as they cross the line. It is 14th position for Christopher Zanella as Storz continues to battle with Tobias Hegerwald.
And Snooks is back past, actually. He got a nice big toe down the main straight after getting a reasonable exit from the Parabolica, so it's all happening all the way down the field.
Bachetta is right back in the slipstream of Tobias Hegerwald now as well. So there is Plamen Kralev, just ahead, I think, of Mikkel Mack. And Benjamin Lariche, sorry, I apologise. Here's Bachetta up the inside of Hegerwald. No, not quite, but Timo Storz is starting to hold them all back, and they are going to lose touch with the top few runners. Hegerwald's on the grass on the inside of the first Lesmo. Through he goes. Storz tries to... Oh, they collide. Storz slides into the gravel. That's beached, and that could possibly bring out the safety car. He tried to squeeze Hegerwald, but around that corner... You know it, Jonathan. It's a very difficult corner to get right.
I think what Storz should have done is just give him a little bit more room there, because Hedgefield was clearly down the inside and well down the inside of the car. So I think a little bit more room wouldn't have gone amiss there.
Into the Ascari chicane. Julian Theobald is sending one up the inside of Tobias Hegerwald. Does he make it through? No. Hegerwald hangs it on around the outside. On the exit of Ascari they come down towards Parabolica. How's things at the lead? Bortolotti is right back up with Ramon Pinero. It's Mickey Monras in 3rd. So Luciano Bachetta, after having an absolutely torrid Friday, he was down towards, the late teens in the practice sessions, finds himself in 4th position as they exit the Parabolica. This is a replay of Mikkel Mack getting all out of shape. He gets some big air here. I was worried he was going to come back onto the circuit in front of everyone else. And then, well, there's that incident again. Hegerwald got out of shape on the inside. I think Storz gave him enough room, but he needed to give him more just to be safe. And Bortolotti's back in the lead. So he must have got a great run down the main straight out of our view, but Pinero is going to be right up behind him on the way down into the 2nd chicane. It's all going on.
It is, and Monras isn't too far behind Pinero either. He'll be picking pick up a nice little toe there from Pinero's car, and I don't think he's quite close enough rather into the 2nd chicane here, but these three seem to have broken away a little bit from Barchetta, and after that first corner sort of scrap with Pinero, Bortolotti was straight back on the case with him and has got the job done.
He's very, very determined this weekend, is Mirko Bortolotti. I would not be surprised. We've got green flags out. Oh, yeah, of course, because that's where he went off. Here's the replay. That's a late move, isn't it? He wasn't alongside going into that corner.
No, and actually, it's strange to see Ramon Pinero give it away, actually. He probably could have easily defended that one, but maybe he wasn't expecting Bortolotti to go for it.
Down into the Ascari chicane. Pinero needs to be careful now because Miki Monras is right up behind him. It's Bachetta. Oh, look, Brundle has recovered well, hasn't he? He was a long way down the field. Max Snegerev is coming under a lot of pressure from Christopher Zanella now. This is over 8th position into the Parabolica. And Zanella will be frustrated because of that difficult qualifying session and then the difficult start as well. But I would predict he's going to get a nice toe from Snegerev. Down the start-finish straight they come. There's barely a car length between them as they whiz past our commentary box down into the first corner. Oh, Zanella tried to do a little dummy there, but Snegerev held his ground. Zanella's going to try and go late on the brakes around the outside. Great move from Christopher Zanella. It may not be over because Snegerev will get a good exit and he'll be tucked right in the toe. But that was a very, very good move, and that's the kind of performance we've come to expect from Zanella. Down through Curva Grande into Della Roggia. Where's he going to position his car as Brundle begins to think about attacking Jack Clark as well
into the second chicane. And these two are very close, so Brundle will be eager to pass and try and catch it with Becchetta. Oh, I thought he was sending one up the inside into Lesmo 1 there.
Yeah, look very tight. It's a good scrap between those two. And just to give the viewers a little bit more information about these toes we keep talking about, actually when we look at the speed difference between a driver in the toe and without the toe, it can be anything up to 15 kilometres an hour difference. So that's why it's such a big thing around this place. Absolutely.
Zanella has managed to make that position stick. Here's Brundle up the inside of Jack Clark into Ascari, and he gets the move done up into 5th position, but it's another good long run down towards the Parabolica, so Jack Clark is not going to give in that easily. Clark, who took his first win in FIA Formula 2 back at Brands Hatch earlier this year. Is he going to be close enough to make a move into the Parabolica? No, he is not. But if he bides his time, when it looked like he lost, it looked like the turn-in wasn't quite as he would have desired. They had to take 2 bites of it on the way into the corner, but with 14 laps to go, can Brundle now begin to close in on Luciano Becchetta for 4th place?
Well, he's certainly getting through the field fairly quickly, and that's probably what we expected to see with his pace from yesterday and a slightly disappointing qualifying session from this morning. So, yeah, what he's got to do here, he has to try and get clear of Jack Clark by a couple of seconds to break that toe, and then he can start really reeling in Barchetta.
Absolutely. So, out through the Curva Grande they come, and he's already pulled out enough of an advantage to be comfortable at the moment, I would say. Mickey Monras dropped back from the back of Ramon Pinero. The gap between them is a second exactly, or it was as they crossed the start-finish line anyway. So we'll see. Oh, Brundle's gone in deep. He's going to take a big clout of the curbs, darts between the 2 curbs on the re-entry, so it doesn't lose him any positions. Whether the stewards will reckon he's gained an advantage by cutting the corner. Martin Galpin, actually, ex-Formula V champion, did a fascinating calculation, which you can find on his blog somewhere, into how much room you use at the edge of racetrack. So if you leave a foot at the edge of a racetrack, kind of how much that will slow you down through the corner if you then leave a foot on the exit of the corner as well, and it all adds up to 0.6 of a second a lap or something crazy. So it's a very interesting blog. Car 5 is under investigation for cutting the chicane. So Alex Brundle, who is about to launch an attack on Luciano Becchetta and is about to move up into 4th position. Oh, Becchetta turned in late, tried to get the cutback, didn't quite work out. So Brundle under investigation as he battles with Becchetta. Out onto the start, finish straight. Luciano moves to the inside. That's not the racing line. That could put Becchetta in trouble, because all 4 wheels over that white line is a little bit naughty. Down into the first chicane they come. Brundle on the outside, Becchetta on the inside. Oh, Becchetta's moving across, just leaves Brundle enough room. I mean, these two they're good mates. They were having lunch together today, just chatting and laughing. But on the racetrack, different story.
Yeah, as soon as these guys put the helmet on, as anyone else would be in this race, everything changes with friendship. So they're battling really hard right now, and I think Barchetta gave Alex just enough room, which is absolutely fine. And doing a great job, both of them, really.
Absolutely, very experienced Luciano Becchetta. He was Formula Palmer Audi champion a few years ago, and T-Cars as well, so plenty of titles under his belt. Started the season doing GP3, but decided to make the switch to Formula 2 before the Red Bull Ring. They're right together as they come through Lesmo 2, so Brundle's going to be in the tow once more. Jack Clark just kind of watching. Kelvin Schnooks is going to be kind of under pressure from Christopher Zanella fairly soon as well. Second place battle isn't over either, so we've got plenty of stuff to happen in these remaining 11 laps. Brundle later on the brakes than Becchetta and moves up into that position. They're going to be side by side almost through Ascari. Brilliant race between these two out onto the back straight, running nicely. What's Brundle going to do? Looking in his mirrors. Is he going to go defensive? No, he's going to stick to the outside line. Becchetta doesn't fancy a lunge at this point. He's going to take a nice wide line into Parabolica, try and get the run out. You've got to go the long way. It's side by side for second position on the final lap. It's another big lockup from Pinero. Can he get it stopped? Yes, he can, but Monras is going to have an excellent run out of the first chicane and down towards Della Roggia. This is a fantastic battle. It has been for quite a few laps between these two Spaniards over second place. And they're still in the battle for second and third positions in the championship as well. Pinero goes defensive. Monras on the outside. He sells him the dummy. Pinero sees it coming and holds his line. Brundle could get in on this party if these two take each other out on this final lap. I'm not suggesting they will, but Brundle will be seeing this and thinking he can get involved in the action as well.
Well, it might not even take them taking each other out for him to get back up there, because they're actually slowing down so much. I mean, Brundle was 6-7 tenths quicker on them than that lap. So, you know, it's going to be joining the scrap, but just maybe a fraction too late, I think.
Down into the Ascari chicane comes Mirko Bortolotti for the final time. This battle for second place still rages down into Ascari, so Parabolica is going to be the final chance. It's another lock-up for Ramon Pinero. The final chance for Mickey Monras to take second place is going to be into the Parabolica, but Mirko Bortolotti heads into the Parabolica for the final time, and he is going to surely exit to take the 2011 FIA Formula 2 Championship. The Italian wins on home soil and sees the checkered flag and becomes the third Formula 2 champion. A fantastic victory, stamps on the brakes, Justin Wilson-esque. There's Brundle exiting the final corner. Pinero is going to hold on for second place just as they cross the line. Mickey Monras couldn't get it done, and Bortolotti slows down right on the start-finish straight. Is he going to do some donuts for us or something as we see the checkered flag fall for the rest of the field? He's stopping at the exit of the pit lane, so we've got Monras third, Brundle fourth, Bacetta fifth, Zanella sixth, seventh for Jack Clark. So Zanella got past Jack Clark. I can't remember if we saw that. It was such an action-packed race. Eighth for Kelvin Schnooks. 9th for Tobias Hagevold, 10th for Benjamin Lariche in the end, Mikkel Mack in 11th, Sunghak Munn in 12th, 13th position for Plamen Kralin, 14th for Party for Suresh Warren, 15th for James Cole. Max Snegerev completes our runners. Oh no, he doesn't, because he's not in the pit. So Mirko Bortolotti has actually stopped just at the exit of the pit lane. So there he is. And
he's just taking a moment to realise what he's actually done, but I think there's safer places to do it. But you know, obviously he's achieved exactly what he wanted to achieve, and he's going to go for
donuts.
A donut.
Yeah,
good lad, good lad.
Mirko Bortolotti, he'll probably get a fine, but he doesn't care. He is the 2011 FIA Formula 2 Championship winner.
Well, now that Bortolotti has won the championship, the only thing at stake in Barcelona is second place in the championship. Zanella, Pinero and Monras can all still get it. Zanella's second at the moment, but he might not keep hold of that ranking.
Come on, and we're away very quickly. It looks as though Monras has got a decent getaway. Ramon Pinero is pulling to the inside line to try and have a look up the inside as well, but as they head down, it's Bortolotti leading, Monras in second. They're all line astern. Bortolotti has to go very defensive. Looks like Alex Brundle's got a good start as Zanella tries to send one up the inside. Hagevold is in there too, fairly calm through the first corner in the first few rows. Zanella has lost out, I think, to Jack Clark, who's got another very good start. One person going off, I think that was Party for Suresh Warren, just going over the runoff on the exit of the first corner, but all safely through the first sector. And here's the look for third place. Tobias Hagevold sending it up the inside into turn 4. Did Ramon Pinero see him? We'll see when the camera pans around. Yes, he did. Hagevold didn't make it through, but that was a close one.
Yeah, that was. I thought Ramon was beginning to get back onto the racing line, and they might have touched, but I think it must be incredibly close. They're lucky to go away with that.
Benjamin Lariche trying to go side by side. I think there were Timo Storz a little bit further back in the field. It's Max Snegerev actually, so Snegerev holding the inside line as James Cole battles with Jose Luis Abedin, who's made up 2 places, 3 places off the start. In fact, up through Champs they come, 108 miles an hour in 4th gear in qualifying trim, and then the run down towards the hairpin. So Mihai Marinescu is feeling under pressure from Jack Clark, isn't he?
Yes, and exactly. We saw Tobias Hedgefield go down the inside of Ramon. Actually, there Ramon's got it back. Actually, going into that little kink. So fantastic little scrap between those two. We've got a spinner there.
Yes, that's I couldn't quite pick out who that was, but good spot there. I didn't see that. I was looking at Jack Clark attack. So still Ramon Pinero in 3rd place, but he's coming under all sorts of pressure from Tobias Hagevold. This is backing them back into Mihai Marinescu, Jack Clark, Christopher Zanella, Alex Brundle, Kelvin Schnooks, Mikkel Mack and Timo Storz, as Jose Luis Abedin is battling now with Party for Suresh Warren. So out onto the start-finish straight they come. Could that possibly have been Benjamin Lariche spinning, I wonder, as they come across the line? Bortolotti 1.1 seconds clear at the end of the first lap, and Zanella
darting to the inside, trying to put Jack Clark off more than anything. It was quite a dramatic dart to the inside, but Clark not being affected.
Yeah, and rather crucially for Bortolotti, he's managed to pull out 1.1 seconds over Monras on that first lap, and that's just enough to break the toe. So cracking first lap from Bortolotti.
So, yeah, it was Benjamin Lariche who spun down in there at turn 10, because he is a long way down on the field. 22 seconds behind the race leader at the end of that first lap. So we've got Kelvin Schnooks here then. He's running in 8th place with Mikkel Mack in 10th position. So Mack has lost a place off the start to Kelvin Schnooks, who's moved from 11th to 9th. As they head up towards Campsa once again. Ramon Pinero looks as though he's just about held off the early pressure from Tobias Hegerwald. It was a late move into that corner. I think Jack Clark could be coming under pressure from Zanella before too long as well, as they head down into one of the biggest braking zones on the circuit, down to just 43 miles an hour in second gear down for that hairpin. And then into this seems like a tricky section of corners, because the entry to this right-hander is a left, which is fairly flat out, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty tricky actually. It's the end of the new section that Barcelona put in here a few years ago, and it is very difficult. If you can do that little section, that little kink flat, and then you have to be back on the brakes straight away for turn 12 and make sure you don't run too wide through 12, which is very easy to do, particularly when the tyres are starting to go off.
Across the line they come. Jack Clark trying to get Christopher Zanella out of his slipstream. It's not working yet, but the Swiss driver knows that his second position in the championship is definitely under threat from Ramon Pinero. If Zanella finishes where he is at the moment, which is in 7th position, Pinero needs to finish 5th to keep the championship, second place in the championship alive, and he's currently 3rd, so he'd take a decent points haul out of Christopher Zanella. As we watch Alex Brundle coming under pressure also from Kelvin Schnooks in the battle over 8th position, down into the left-hander at turn 5, 50 miles an hour through there in second gear, and Mikkel Mack is looking quite racy as well.
Yeah, Bortolotti was 5/10 quicker than Monras on that last lap, and also what we're seeing is what we saw in qualifying, that Bortolotti's advantage is coming from sector 1 and sector 2. He was a couple of tenths quicker in those two, but then lost out a little bit in sector 3, so that seems to be following into the race actually as well. So
yeah, absolutely. So Bortolotti just struggling through the final sector starts just before the braking zone of the hairpin at turn 10.
So you know, sometimes you see less than a tenth between them, but like last lap, it's up to another half-second gap between the two. So Bortolotti extends to his lead to 5.8 seconds.
Well, we've had 14 races this season, and Mirko Bortolotti has finished on the podium in 12 of them. So, you know, it's not just lap time consistency, but that lap time consistency brings race result consistency, which ultimately brings him the championship, because Christopher Zanella has been fairly points consistent. He's finished in the points 13 occasions out of the 14 races. So he's been up and down in the points. That's been Zanella's problem. He hasn't had a podium, as we said, since the Nurburgring. So that's where Zanella's problem has come. And look, you can visibly see that Mickey Monras has dropped back a long, long way, considering how close they were on that last lap. It was another half a second in that first sector for Mirko Bortolotti. So here's a replay of
pushing really hard,
a bit of sideways action.
Yeah, fantastic to see. Look at that, brilliant.
He's won the championship, but he's not taking it easy, is he?
No, why should he? Just keep doing what has worked in the past, and it's obviously working in this race. And he's up to nearly 6 seconds now, his lead over Monras.
It's nearly 7 seconds now, isn't it? After that very quick last sector as well, another half a second came out, so they head down to turn 1 as we continue to watch Alex Brundle running in 8th position. Not quite as strong a weekend as he had in Monza, but a lot of curb being taken there by Schnooks. That could put him out of shape and allow Mikkel Mack the chance to attack. How close are they going to be? I think quite close enough as they come across the line. Only half a second, so this could be another opportunity for Mikkel Mack. All started because of Kelvin Schnooks just running wide. Schnooks going to the... I thought Mack was going for it, and Schnooks did too, as I think Mikkel Mack now just trying to put Kelvin Schnooks off in the braking zone. It's not working just yet, but we've only got 3 laps to go, and I could see this position changing, actually, because Mikkel
Mikkel Mack is looking pretty racy.
Yeah, I think he needs to be a bit braver into turn one and really go for it and try and brake a little bit later than Snooks, because it's clear to see that Snooks is not as quick as they go through the last corner and then back down the straight, and Mack needs to really go for it and try and dive down the inside at the last possible minute.
Ramon Pinero comfortably in third position, 8.5 seconds behind Miki Monras, but 7 seconds ahead of Tobias Hegervold. So this is probably the loneliest place for Ramon to be in. But I think this is doing him good, you know, because this is pretty much now just turning into a test session, a test stint. And look at his lap time on the last lap, 2/10 quicker than Miki Monras and only 2/10 slower than Mirko Bortolotti. So he's really learning about the track here.
Yeah, I mean, isn't this the perfect race for him, really?
Yeah.
It's, you know, he's out on his own. Maybe he can afford to experiment a little bit with a few things, but I mean, it's fair to say he does know the track very well, and in a Formula 2 car from the testing last year, but this is the perfect race for him, and good for confidence after a fairly difficult Thursday sitting out the car.
He doesn't know the track as well as you'd expect, though. I mean, you know, he's from Barcelona. You'd expect him to know it like the back of his hand, but he did that winter test here in Formula 2. But before that, he'd only done, I think, 2 years in Formula BMW where they came here, and that was kind of it. So it is fairly foreign circuit to Ramon Pinero, certainly compared to somewhere like Silverstone, where he's been racing a lot in, you know, the likes of Formula Palmer Audi and Formula 2 at the start of this year. We saw he was very strong there. There's Miki Monras. He'll be pleased to be back on the podium after the last race at Monza. It was a massive drought before then. A third and a first in the first weekend at Silverstone, but then no podium in Magny-Cours, Spa, Nurburgring, Brands Hatch, Red Bull Ring, or the first race in Monza. So it will be good news for Miki Monras, but it will be bad news because, as we're saying, looking at the championship standings, he is going to not have a chance to test the GP2 car, not via the F2 prize anyway. He won't have the chance to test the GP2 car, which will be a real shame, because showing what you can do in a GP2 car is the next step up for these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, he's only just missing out on that, really, because like we've written down here, if Ramon finishes third, which he clearly isn't at the moment, Miki must win the race, and obviously he's just one place off that, which is it must be excruciating, really, but there's nothing much he can do now. Bortolotti's 8 seconds up the road. All he can really hope is that Ramon can make a little mistake, but we haven't seen him.
And we're away. Who's going to get the best getaway? It looks like it's a decent start for Ramon Pinero. He's got alongside Mirko Bortolotti already as they head down in towards turn 1 for the first time. Who's it going to be in the lead? It's going to be Pinero. Marinescu is trying to follow through on the inside as well. Bortolotti could get shuffled down. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside of turn 1. There's a little bit of contact further back in the field, but who's going to exit turn 3 in the lead of this race? We wait to see as they head towards turn 4. The mechanics want to see as well. So it was a fantastic start. It's Bortolotti. He's managed to hang on around the outside. Mihai Marinescu right with him. Brundle sending a lunge up the inside. Hegervold's going in the gravel on the outside. That's going to send him right to the back of the field. Let's hope he can keep it going and keep it out of there. But Miki Monras has dropped down to 4th then. Brundle is into 5th. 6th place for Kelvin Schnutz. He's lost a position. A man who's made up a bit of ground is Christopher Zanella, and a good start for Jack Clark.
Yeah, I thought Pinero had it there, but he just didn't manage to brace quite late enough to hold off Bortolotti, and a fantastic effort to regain the lead from Bortolotti there.
I think Miki Monras will be the most frustrated man after that start, because Marinescu must have got an excellent start to move from 4th to almost 2nd, really. He was alongside Bortolotti as well. Very impressive driving. Schnutz is now coming under pressure from Alex Brundle. He's going to squeeze the Englishman towards the inside. Jack Clark is going past Mikkel Mack as well. Schnutz has managed to hang on around the outside. He's going to lose grip. They're still side by side up into the right-hander of turn 12, and Brundle finally makes the move stick. Good move there from the man from King's Lynn as he heads out towards the tight and twisty final part of the circuit. But the key now is going to be how quickly can Bortolotti begin to pull away from Ramon Pinero, if at all.
Well, exactly, and I think what Ramon has to do is use those boost buttons up to stay with Bortolotti. Bortolotti probably has fractionally better pace, but he's still 8/10 close enough to Bortolotti, so he should be picking up a decent toe as we see Zanella on the back of James Cole. Or was it Timo Stort, sorry, on the back of James Cole there?
Yeah, Mikkel Mack I thought was going to be closer to Jack Clark than he was coming into turn 1. Clark needs to be careful he doesn't outbrake himself and compromise him all the way through turns 3 and 4. Here's a look at, this will be Hegervold going off then. So it looks like he almost gets caught out by Alex Brundle braking and has to dart to the outside.
Yeah, I think he was expecting Brundle to brake a bit later than that, and as we see Manuel being a bit annoyed with that because he's the mechanic of Hegervold. Yeah, I think he was just a bit surprised with how early Brundle braked there.
Into the left-hander at turn 4 they come then, and so Jack Clark has got himself up into 8th position after starting 11th. So that's a good start from him. Who else have been the big movers? Brundle's made up a position, Zanella has made up 2 as well, so surely there must have been... There's no real big loser from all that. They've just kind of gently shuffled around in the middle of the pack. James Cole has moved up into 11th place, so I guess Hegervold is the big loser, isn't he? Because he's right down the back of the field, 11 seconds off the lead of the race, so we'll have to watch him come back through the field. But now we need to look where the battles will develop.
Yeah, in some respects, I think he was quite lucky just to make it out of the gravel trap there. So it'll be interesting to see whether he can overtake Cyrus Warren and Krylov in front of him.
It's so easy to beat your car in the gravel in situations like that. Marinescu isn't letting this fight go. Marinescu actually was, I think he was up on Bortolotti's pole time in the first 2 sectors in qualifying this morning, but then it didn't quite come together for him. Exit the corner and head down this main straight here at Barcelona. The iconic shot of them dropping down towards turn 1. Is Zanella going to fancy a look? Snooks covers the inside line. And it is, and here's Mikkel Mack and Jack Clark. This is Benjamin Lariche, sorry. So Jack Clark has lost a bit of pace because Lariche is going to try and go through on the inside. Clark cuts across. And then are not close enough, but they come across the line. There's only less than 0.6 of a second between them, and Snooks is going to have to be careful now. But Mirko Bortolotti onto his penultimate lap of the season, his penultimate lap in Formula 2 after winning the championship in Monza. Where will he step up to next year? We were speculating about it earlier, but probably only really find out in February, because that's when everything's decided in motorsport. There's lots of rumours flying around over the winter, but it's only until you get to kind of January, February time that things actually begin to happen. Can be frustrating at times, but it makes it very interesting at the start of the season.
Yeah, and he once again dipped back into the 141s on that last lap, 0.6 quicker than the chasing pack. So just nothing really worries him or phases him at all. He's pushing really hard, the gap up to 7.6 seconds now.
Only 0.2 of a second between Partiva Suresh-Warren and James Cole in the battle over 14th place. So that could be an interesting one to keep an eye out for on this final lap as James Cole recovers through the field after unfortunately making a jump start. Mikkel Mack very sideways on the exit of Kamsa. He's going to be pushing to make a move on Christopher Zanella. I only fear that he may have perhaps used all his boosts up to catch up to the back of Zanella, meaning that overtaking will be increasingly difficult. Even though these Formula 2 cars produce an excellent slipstream, it's still very difficult to make a manoeuvre. So Mirko Bortolotti is on to his final lap. Pinero comes across the line 8 seconds behind now, so Bortolotti just has the ability to just pump in the fast laps as we look at track at the moment. There is Ramon Pinero in second place. Jonathan Palmer watching on. He will be presenting the trophies, and we're also going to have the championship trophy presentation, so it'll be 2 trophies for Mirko Bortolotti this afternoon. Still a warning for Kelvin Snooks, but I don't think unless he goes predominantly off the circuit on this final lap, I don't think he will be in trouble. But this year has been all about Mirko Bortolotti. He took the first win of the season at Silverstone, followed it up with a second, then a difficult weekend down in the middle of France in Magny-Cours, but he was right back on the pace at Spa with a second and a first. I think he took pole position for the first race of the weekend at Spa, but got it knocked off him for not respecting the yellow flags. He won the second race at Spa, then he won both races at the Nurburgring. Difficult first race of the weekend at Brands Hatch, where he was penalised for a collision with Alex Brundle in qualifying, but then a run of 4 second places, 2 at the Red Bull Ring and 1 at Brands Hatch and Monza respectively. and as he comes into turn 13 for the final time, it's going to be a brace of wins in the final 2 rounds of the 2011 FIA Formula 2 Championship. He is also going to be the driver who has won the most F2 races in the 3-year history of the championship. Across the line he comes for his 7th win of the season, his 8th Formula 2 victory, and he is a deserving champion. Ramon Pinero is 2nd place, not enough to take 2nd in the championship, but 3rd place and a GP2 test awaits. Mihai Marinescu comes home in 3rd place, 4th for Mickey Monras. High fives from Ramon Pinero's crew. Brundle is going to come across the line in 5th position. There he comes, Snooks behind, Zanella and Mickelmack completing the top 8. Very impressed with Mickelmack's performance. Jack Clark, is he going to hang on from 9th ahead of Zanella? I imagine so, but Mirko Bortolotti taking the win. Another excellent win from the Austro-Italian as Jonathan Palmer heads towards the podium to congratulate Mirko, I have no doubt, and the rest of the top 3 finishers. Jonathan Palmer, owner of Motorsport Vision, who have put this Formula 2 Championship together.
It's good, eh?
So in the end, Zanella does keep his 2nd place in the championship, and he will have a test with Williams next year. Well, that's it for this season, which was clearly dominated by the Austro-Italian Mirko Bortolotti. See you next year. Bye for now.
If you need proof that winter is upon us, all you need to do is join MotorsTV this Saturday, December the 10th from 7:15 in the evening when we head to the picturesque